Just a Good Conversation, podcast number 2. My guest today is funny and daring, has a wonderful ability to create characters. A graduate of Chapman University with a degree in film, Phil Thurman went on to create his own production company, Odessa Films USA, where he produced and directed 2 feature films. A cable access show became his playground, where he was able to showcase his talents and his abilities to create wonderful characters. After stepping away from the film industry, Phil found himself at Fullerton College, where for the last 15 years he's been the sports information director, doing more tasks than one man should be allowed to do. Most recently, Phil has found his way back into the film industry, writing 4th and 44. I can say more and more about this man, but let's just get into this podcast. And with that, my dear friend, Phil Thurman.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I've always wanted to say that. That's an old Steve Martin line, and he makes fun of it.
Every time.
Yes. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's the most cliche thing to say, and I like it. I like it a lot.
It works.
It does.
All right. During my research, I could not find some of the cable access stuff. Well, we're going to get to that because I want to stay on a timeline.
Yes.
Because working your timeline is an unbelievable thing. So let's just jump into life in the OC.
Okay.
Now, OC, as you know, is broken up into a whole, like if you grew up in Newport, it's different than growing up in Brea. It's different than growing up in Huntington Beach. Is different than Newport.
Right.
So you grew up in what section of OC?
So actually, I have an interesting piece to that because I'm a little bit of both, North Orange County and South Orange County. So I was born in Laguna Beach.
Okay.
Literally in that hospital off of PCH.
Right on the water.
Right on the water. And I was born while my mom bitched out the doctor and swore she was going to kill him. And then I was born and it was quiet. So it was bloody murder, and my mom did not take pain very well. And she was a very funny woman, but did not do well with pain. And so I was born amongst a lot of screaming and chaos in Laguna Beach in 1970. And when my mom went to bring me home, she discovered that my dad had moved her while she was in the hospital.
How long was this delivery?
I don't know how many
weeks?
I don't know how many days or how that worked, but my mom was like, "All right, let's go home." He's like, "Oh, by the way, we moved. We're no longer in Laguna. We now live in Huntington Beach. Let's go." And my wife would wring my neck if I did that today.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a different time. I don't know. I just find that very bizarre my whole life, thinking, how could you just move somebody and not tell them?
Right. She's doing the most difficult thing. You're supposed to be around, but I'm boxing up the house and shipping us up the PCH.
So I guess my dad got another job. He worked at aerospace. And it was like, hey, it's go time. So that was the idea. It wasn't like he was a caveman. He was a pretty cool dude, but still pretty bizarre. So the house apparently was across the street from Lon Chaney Jr.'s house, who played the werewolf.
Right.
The original werewolf.
Yeah.
And he would, according to my brother, because my brother's 6 years older than me and my mom.
Okay.
And Dad. He would, every Halloween, dress up he had a big old courtyard.
No, he did not.
He did. He dressed up his whole courtyard, fogged it, and would dress up as the original werewolf and scare the crap out of kids.
In the 70s?
This would be in the late 60s. Yeah.
That is a production.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So
wow.
And I think, why did we move from that? Yeah. I mean, Halloween is my favorite holiday.
I know, yeah, it's the best.
You get to dress up and act like a fool and have a good time and get candy.
Yeah.
That was the best. So
and you left that.
We left that
treasure.
Behind. Yeah, and plus Laguna Beach. Why did we move to? All right, whatever. So we were in Huntington Beach. We lived in Huntington Beach, and it wasn't like Huntington Beach, like off of Main Street. But we did spend a lot of time at the beach in Huntington Beach as a little guy. It was the Huntington Beach across the street from Marina High School.
Okay.
So that was in that neighborhood.
Right.
And
it kind of butts up against the naval base?
Yeah, I think right over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I lived there until I was probably 6. I think 6. And then we moved again. It was almost like my dad kept moving us further and further inland away from the beach but my mom loved the beach,
right.
So I don't know what was going on there. I don't know how she stayed married to him. And then we moved to wonderful La Palma, California, which a lot of people go, where's that?
Right.
Is that Northern California? Where's that?
Yeah.
Where's that? And actually, if you blink on the 91 freeway between Cerritos and Buena Park, you've driven through La Palma. I think there's one exit, and I think it's Valley View. But that could be construed as Buena Park.
They only gave him one exit. That's all you guys got?
I think that might actually be a Buena Park exit. So let me research that. So La Palma's a small, it's like a 1 square mile city that's literally on the border of LA County. So if we cross a bridge going to McDonald's, which we did a lot growing up, we liked our McDonald's.
Right.
You were in LA County. You're in Cerritos.
Wow.
Yeah. So La Palma's a pretty cool town. It's small and has its own fire department and police
I
department.
was going to say, what do you compare it to in size? Is it like the size of another city in Orange County?
I think it's the smallest city in Orange County.
Really?
Honestly, when I say a square mile,
right.
It pretty much is.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's small. So I grew up there.
Did you know everybody in the town? It was kind of like that?
You did, yeah. Especially
Once you started going into school?
Yeah, you know who the older brothers are, you know who the older sisters are, and there's all these stories that come with it, and for me those stories were always stories of warning, like, watch out, those guys were in a gang. In La Palma, Mom? Oh yeah, they were the Windsong gang. Got in trouble a lot with the police. La Palma. It wasn't a very crime-ridden town.
I don't remember La Palma being represented in colors at all. In that, maybe Hopper didn't put it in, but
True.
I didn't remember the
No,
Windsock gang.
No, there were no gangs in La Palma. It's a very cool place to grow up, actually. But the most interesting part is my mom was really close with her sister,
okay.
And she remained in San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, and I spent pretty much every weekend in San Clemente. On the beach down there, and then my summers were spent in Mexico. My aunt and uncle had a beach house in Mexico in Rosarito Beach, and I spent a lot of summers down there. It was very interesting, and it wasn't just like a couple of weeks or days; it was the whole summer.
Wow.
Yeah. So
as a little guy, like how old?
Since I can remember. Yeah, they bought the house in like the '60s.
So you would go like when you were 7, 8, 9, 10 every
year. Yeah, until
would you guys
my
drive
aunt and
down?
uncle we did. We drove down there, or my grandparents would pick me up and just take me.
Right.
And my parents would meet us down there.
Was it a day trek? How far into Mexico?
Oh no, it's Rosarito Beach.
Oh, Rosarito. Okay.
Yeah, not that far.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But back then there was one freeway.
Well, back then Rosarito
Right?
Beach was not Rosarito Beach that we know today.
No, that's true.
Rosarito Beach, from my youth, was when I was a little guy. Cobblestone roads. There were no nightclubs. It was a quiet little. The only thing going on in town was the Rosarito Beach hotel.
That's it.
We'd go to the pool and hang out. If we weren't at the beach, and then we'd go get some food and hang out. But there were no nightclubs until later. And then, when I got a little older, I was shocked. I stopped going down there when I was 16. My aunt and uncle got divorced, and he got the Mexico house, bastard. So I was no longer able to go down there anymore to Mexico. I mean, I went to Mexico, but not to that particular house. And then when I'd spent a number of years going to San Diego State, and when I did finally get back down to Rosarito Beach, I was stunned on how much it had grown.
Oh, I'm sure.
Stunned. I mean, all the nightclubs and crazy. So, but yeah, so. It's just interesting how things change.
Right.
So.
Okay, so who was the funny influence in the family?
Definitely my mom. my mom and I are a lot alike. So much that, you know, when you're so much like somebody, you tend to like argue a lot.
Right.
And our arguments often went from, and anybody that was in the room, our arguments started from something kind of civil and pretty cool, you know, just a nice little debate. And then it just went to god awful, doesn't make any sense. And now it's just rubbish.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to say anything, carrot sticks at each other, whatever word. But we knew what we meant behind carrot sticks.
Right.
And the arguments just went to shit and went nowhere. And then we'd start laughing. And like my dad would just go nuts. Like, I don't even know what you guys are saying, and like run out of the room.
Now, was he the straight man?
Yes, absolutely the straight man. My dad was so easy to work over with a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And he'd always get pissed.
Was it nice, though, to have that yin and yang of like your mom being a buffer, a fun comedy player?
Yeah.
You know, you got some humor from her. She laughed. You guys could joke.
Absolutely.
And then Dad was Dean Martin.
Yeah, and Dad wasn't even scary. Like I was a pretty quick kid. Even if he tried to whack on me or get me, I was pretty quick running around the table. He could never get me. One time we were out camping, and I was afraid to go in the woods to pee. And we had the classic station wagon.
Sure.
And it was
mandatory.
It was yellow.
Well, shocking.
With a green interior. It was beautiful.
Wood paneling?
No, that was the one before that, which I was too little. But the main one was the yellow with the green interior station wagon. Just gorgeous. So I was probably, I don't know, 7 or 8, and we were unpacking. I think we're in like Yosemite.
Right.
And I had to pee really bad. My dad's unloading the luggage. He's got the lid of the back, and he's pulling stuff out. And I'm twirling around trying to hold my pee in, and he's like, "Just go in the woods, for God's sakes, fella! You get in the woods." And I'm like, "I'm not going in the woods by myself. What if something gets me? I'm not scared of it.
I'm from La Palma.
I am not a woodsman."
Yeah.
That's, you know, and I'm 7 or, you know, whatever I am. And so I just said, screw it. I started peeing right there in the dirt.
Jesus.
I had my back to him, so I thought maybe he wouldn't see me.
He wouldn't notice.
Well, I made a puddle, a nice hot puddle of pee. And he stepped in it while he was grabbing one of the luggage pieces. And he was so mad. And he chased me around the car, and he couldn't catch me, and I was a pretty quick little rabbit. And then he started laughing because my mom made it funny.
Sure, of course.
She pointed out the comedy of it.
Uh-huh.
And then my dad started laughing, and my brother was just like rolling his eyes because he was the older brother.
Right.
You know, teenager that was too cool for everything.
Too cool for peeing in the dirt.
So, so I did that. So, he was a good straight man. So, they couldn't catch me. And I had no fear of him. I respected him. But the fear came from my mom because she knew how to wrangle me in mentally.
Right.
And it was always guilt. Guilt is such a good wrangler when you're a parent.
Yes.
I wish I was as good as my mom. But yeah.
She had good skills?
Excellent skills. She was also a pretty good actress. When she was 17, she won a Miss Firecracker contest, like a beauty queen kind of thing.
Sure.
She went to Downey High School. So she's from that area growing up. Well, originally from Texas and then moved out here when she was like maybe 10, came out from Texas. And she won this Miss Firecracker, and she did a little bit of modeling, and this agent kept calling the house and harassing my grandma. My grandma was a pretty stern woman. She didn't put up with much crap. And she's a staunch Texan.
Oh, boy.
She'll let you know. And she let you know all the time where she was from. And Lubbock, Texas.
Oh.
She'll tell you who's all from Lubbock.
Yeah, she knew everybody.
Some of the greatest Americans ever. And she'll tell you how to make a Texas hamburger. Just put some bacon on it. That's what it was. I wasn't very excited about the Texas hamburger because it was just a hamburger and she threw some bacon on it.
Right.
That's
she
not
brought
very
breakfast
Texas.
into it. That's all.
No, I didn't want a breakfast hamburger Texan style. Maybe a little guacamole, that'd be good. But so this agent kept calling the house and was being very demanding, wanting to sign my mom to a contract. And she said, I'll tell you what, you keep calling, call when she's 18, and then we'll talk. Well, he called on my mom's 18th birthday.
Wow.
And that agent was Bob Hope's agent.
No.
And my grandma told him to scram.
What?
Vamos. Get out of here, you pervert. Yeah. So so she had, she had some she did a little bit of acting.
Right.
But my mom was terrified. She had skill. Like, she was really talented. Like, she could have been a great comedian. She had really good comic timing.
That's what I said. Did she? What was her?
Amazing comic timing.
Okay.
Natural.
She knew when it was funny.
Oh yeah, and she was so amazing at it. And she knew when to pull back. I mean, I learned all those levers from her just as a kid growing up, because we had a lot of fun.
Right.
You couldn't, and she really liked to fuck with you. Like, it was funny to her to jump out of a closet and scare the shit out of you while you're walking to the bathroom at 6 a.m. You had to jump into bed because she was always under the bed grabbing your feet. So, if it was bedtime, you're like, oh shit. It was like
it's coming. I got
it. Was like the Pink Panther, Kato.
Right.
Like
right.
Peter Sellers,
Sure.
Kato. Like, you never knew where she was going to jump out of. She loved that aspect.
Now, where did she get that from?
My grandfather.
Okay.
My grandfather was pretty classic.
Okay.
Yeah, World War II guy, but he wasn't like.
See how it falls down the line? She gets it from dad.
And I don't know where he got it from.
Yeah.
It just does. He was a fantastic storyteller. So she got it from him. She's very much a clone of him. And so, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But she's definitely a big influence on all that. And I started doing a little bit of acting when I was 14 or 15, doing auditions and all that.
Okay.
And I was working with...
was that her... Like,
she liked that
she agreed to that, or not?
I was always a jock.
Okay.
But she liked when I got into it on my own in high school. Like, I think it was 15. I got into like stagecraft.
Okay.
It was an easy elective.
Sure.
Building stages. I'm not getting on stage. That's stupid.
Yeah. I'll be back here though.
I got one taste of it and I was like, hello, America, hello world. Yeah. Yeah, I got a taste of it and I liked it, and then she saw that I liked it and she totally encouraged it. I did all that stuff. I started pretty young with that.
Do you think any of that, with her not going into it, she wanted to see that opportunity for you?
I think so. I think
because you never knew where her career could have gone if it had been one.
Absolutely, and I think with her it was fear-based. She was afraid to make that jump. She's afraid to make that jump.
Sure, it's big.
And it affected me when I was younger, because I used to get mad at her. I'm like, just go do it.
Right.
This story right here, that she was also an artist. She painted, really good, really talented actually. And some critic came to her when she was like 20, and came to like the art exhibit or whatever. She was doing some of that, and this one person told her she wasn't good enough, so she quit. She didn't start painting again until she was in her 50s, late 50s. And that pissed me off. Like, you let one person tell you you can't do it, so you didn't do it. And so that affected me because it affected her so much.
Sure.
So I kind of live my life like, screw that. Screw that. I'm making a jump. I'm doing what I want to do when I want to do it. If it doesn't hurt anybody. Right. I'm gonna do what I do. And I'm gonna do what I do at the moment because of that. When I made my first feature film when I was 25. I gave her a part in it, and it was a cool part. It was the part of Connie, the hotel. She ran the old motel in the desert. It was a great part. She had a crooked beehive, and she brought the guy, like the main character's lunch every now and again. It was a cool part. It wasn't a big giant part, but it was a part to get her feet wet and give her a taste of something. And I knew she could do it. And she totally freaked out on me. Freaked out. Couldn't do it. couldn't not do it. She was like, I can't do it. She had a panic attack. And I saw that it tortured her.
Really?
And I didn't know what that was, where that stemmed from. Yeah, I still don't. So that type of mentality inspires me today. Like, all right, so am I scared to do this? Yeah, it terrifies me. But I'm going to do it. And what's going to happen? Am I going to die from it? No. I could fail. So what?
Yeah.
Failure is like nothing. So if I continue to fail, eventually I will see some success. Just keep doing it.
Right.
So that's how I kind of apply my life, and that's what I teach my kids. You know, my oldest is terrified of everything. He's 14, going into 9th grade, and he's always been terrified of everything. My youngest is 5. He is an animal. He jumps into everything. He just goes for it. My middle is my 11-year-old daughter, and she's not afraid of anything. She's actually pretty tenacious.
Right.
But I still have a hard time convincing I just yelled at him the other day, no joke. And all we were doing is he's a baseball player, so he's getting into lifting weights. And he was afraid to lift too much because he was afraid to hurt his back. And I was like, dude, it's 20 pounds, and you're 14.
Yeah.
You're not 49 like me.
Yeah.
You're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Like, if it was an old man like myself, yes, be careful.
Nothing to hurt at 14.
But you will recover, you will be fine, and you have to take at your age, you have to take a risk. So no guts, no glory. Like, you want to get bigger and faster and stronger? This is how you do it.
Right.
Don't be afraid. Go do it. And that's kind of the way I like to live my life.
Right. And that's what I love when I get to see Logan. I love to just like get on him.
Yeah, you like it. You like that because he's shy and he's easy.
I force hug him.
It's awesome.
I squeeze him.
He loves it too. He does love it.
Yeah.
And he's a big fan of yours. He loves you. Yeah. So, yeah.
And he's one of those kids you can slow torture.
Yes.
Like you're not talking to me right now, but I'm staring at you. I'm looking at you.
And
you could just see the fear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You see it. His expressions are classic. He's got these big chocolate brown eyes, and they just, you could see them.
All right, we'll jump ahead only because I'm going to bring this up.
Okay.
When I was with the Angels, I had the opportunity to present Logan with Mike Trout, and he was terrified.
Yes.
Because it was Mike Trout.
Yes. Which is his favorite player.
Right. 1 out of 100 kids, and it's the one time he's like, no, I can't do it.
No, and there was a time before that even. Mike Trout actually came up to sign a ball for him. Mike Trout's probably one of the nicest guys.
Absolutely.
I'm not kidding.
Yes.
He came up to Logan. Logan's one of the 100 kids waiting along the wall there at the stadium. And Logan was little. I mean, maybe 7 or 8. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he came right up to him, and he ran up the stairs and cried. It was too much for him. Right? And my little nephew, who was 5 at the time, he signed his ball, and he talked about it all night.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the only teaching moment I could give him was no guts, no glory. Like, what was Mike going to do? Was he going to put you in a headlock and walk you around the field? What was he going to do?
Poke you in the eyes?
Yeah.
He was going to sign your ball.
Yeah. So thank God. Well, and then the experience happened. You were going to present him and have him meet Mike Trout, and he ran and wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that kid.
And then I'd say maybe 2 years later, he got lucky enough to actually get an autograph ball from Mike Trout.
Good.
Mike actually, he didn't run away from Mike when Mike came up to him.
Good. Otherwise, we're going to have to have Mike show up at the front door.
The only kid that's afraid of Mike Trout.
Yeah.
That loves him.
Right. Loves him to death.
Like worships him.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, he's a great kid. Yeah.
So you have this creative juices starting to flow in high school, right? Mm-hmm. You got your mom's obviously pushing you. You do a little acting. You find drama. Are you the guy in school who's finding yourself to be the funny guy, the ha-ha guy?
I didn't plan for that. I just like to be myself and have a lot of friends. So I had like 4 different groups I bounced around because I was a jock. I played football, I played basketball. Right. But I didn't like the stereotype that the jock had.
Sure.
So I never got a Letterman's jacket. I didn't want to be that guy. I just liked playing sports, but I didn't like the meathead jock mentality, which a lot of my friends had.
Sure.
Or still have today. They still haven't grown out of high school.
Right.
Some
They're
of
still
them.
in 1988.
But I love them. Yeah. And they're still stuck in it. But I didn't like that. I didn't want to be in that. I liked them as friends, but so I had 4 different groups I'd bounce around. I had my jock friends, had my skater friends, had my surfer friends, and I had my drama friends. And my drama friends were totally different than my jock friends. My jock friends would be like, "What party are we going to this weekend? Is there a kegger? Let's get that going."
Yeah.
Right? But my drama friends were like, "Okay, guys, we're going to play cards. We're going to watch Young Guns. Who's bringing the sodas?"
Right.
Right? And that was cool.
Yes.
I was into it.
Yeah.
Because it was wholesome, it was cool, and guess what? I didn't have to wear a mask. I didn't have to play anybody. I got to be myself.
Right.
And then after just doing that after a while, I was like, I'm just going to be myself anyways.
Right.
Because when you're young, you're trying to figure yourself out, like, what am I?
Mm-hmm.
Who am I?
What group am I in?
Who do I belong with? And then you really feel uncomfortable in your own skin when you're that young, and you just kind of figure it out by bouncing around. And I did. I just realized, all right, screw it. This is what I am.
Right.
So
I think it's healthier that way.
Yeah, and it is.
I did that. I had groups of different friends, and I found different pieces of them, and I think that's healthier. If you get stuck with this group of 20 people, you never experience the other 600, 700, 800 people in that school.
Because doesn't everybody have a different experience?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I still like to do that today. I like to bounce around and just meet different people because I want to know everybody's experience.
Right.
And you're the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see that in the way you write and the way that your films, you're not sitting there just making one singular kind.
No, I like different voices because
that shows in your characters.
Yeah, I feel like I have a bunch of voices in my head. No, but I feel like I could come out and do any character. I've always been a good mimic, and that's one thing that my mom couldn't do that I could always mimic anybody. If I was around you long enough, I could do your voice. I can get your mannerisms down. So I like people watching, and it's not making fun of people because I think that's mean. It's if I'm playing with you and it means I like you. And if I can mimic you, it's because I like you. There's something about you that I'm attracted to, and I'm mimicking that. And
you've paid enough attention to them.
Yeah. My wife always says, "Oh my God, you're always on Farrah. You tease her too much." I really like her. I'm like, I tease you a lot, don't I? I'm like, you like that. That's why you married me. I tease the shit out of you, and I'm annoying. I know this, but guess what? You like it.
Yeah.
And it's because I like you, but
if I ignored you, there'd be an issue.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Right.
So I kind of did that in high school, and I was good at mimicking, and I was actually voted class clown.
Okay.
Not trying to be the class clown because I think.
But people found you funny.
Yeah, because.
And there's a difference.
Well, I didn't want to be I wasn't the guy in class that made an ass of the teacher. Even the teachers liked my jokes because I put the teacher in on the joke. I never liked making fun of the teacher. That's a person. I knew that was someone that went home and to their own kids and had their own lives out of school, which is weird because you think they're just robots that turn off, right? So I recognized that pretty young, and I think my mom had that influence. And plus, my aunt was an English teacher in high school.
Okay.
So I kind of pulled that, like, well, she's not a robot. She doesn't turn off and stay in the classroom, right? So she comes.
That's pretty impressive for a kid in high school to realize that.
Yeah, so I didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to ever be disrespectful in class, and I never did those outbursts where it was hurting what the teacher was saying. I would kind of do a joke to add on to it.
Right, make fun of the moment, not the person.
If there was a lecture, where it didn't work was in college.
That's where I was going to go, is like how you transfer that.
It did not work in college. I tried that my freshman year at San Diego State in one of the bigger classrooms, and
fell flat?
Fell flat because the teacher's face did not buy into the joke at all. And I was like, oh, this is big boy class time. Okay, I'm going to shut up and just listen. This is the time to listen. There's a time to listen and there's a time to joke, and this was not the time to joke. But in high school, it was a little different because it's I I had more. I knew the teachers more. You know, in college you don't really get to know your teachers.
You don't.
You're a number.
Yeah. You're in a room with 200 people in a lecture hall.
The only place that was different, because I honestly went to San Diego State, to UCLA, to Cypress College, to Cal State Fullerton, then to Chapman. Crazy.
That's a lot of hops.
I guess I wanted to learn a lot. No, I got burned out at San Diego State.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had 6 degrees.
UCLA. Yeah, I did, right. I liked UCLA for the art, for the acting. And
right.
I did a bunch of acting classes and stand-up there, and I did do the stand-up comedy. But
to get you there, so were you thinking when you're leaving high school, like, I see myself in entertainment or theater, or I was in a lot of we did a lot of improv in our theater group in high school, and that had a pretty profound impact on me. We had a really good drama teacher named Mark Till, and he was amazing, and he was only like 10 years older than us, and he's young and had all this energy. And do you think that helped, him being that young?
I think the energy did, because he left my junior year, and I was really mad at him, because you get attached to your drama teachers. They're the ones getting all your emotions. You're giving them everything, and they know you very well. And he was an amazing teacher and an amazing person to talk to, and it was very relatable.
Okay.
And he left my junior year, so I was pretty mad at him. And we got an older gentleman, and it was like a seasoned actor. Acted in a bunch of stuff with like Jeffrey Tambor in the early days, maybe some Three's Companies.
Wow.
So he'd been around the block.
Yeah, Three's Company.
Company. So maybe some MASHes. Get those in there. So he'd been around the block.
Soldier number 3.
Right, but he was so disconnected. He was a really nice man, but
he's trying to do Broadway theater, and he's in La Palma.
Yeah, but he was more of let's do a play and yada yada yada. Let's go through the motions. I'm tired. Nice guy though.
Right.
And meanwhile, I think my junior year we started just driving up to Hollywood on our own.
Wow.
Me and a couple other kids in drama that thought we were like the funniest things ever. And we would go to these improv. So if you go up to Hollywood, you can try out for improv and do like improv shows, and there's improv classes.
Right.
And
now this is pre-internet, so how are you finding these?
There was a magazine called Dramalog.
Wow.
That was the actor's Bible if you wanted to get work.
Now, where would you find that?
There's a back classifieds page.
Okay.
So it would have all these like auditions here, auditions.
Well,
go to this class. And we look for the improv auditions.
Was that sent to the school, or was that like,
you had to go to a bookstore certain bookstores.
Right.
And I don't think they had Barnes & Nobles. What they have back then?
It was independent.
Yeah.
It was Chuck's bookstore.
Yeah.
The Cornerstone.
Where do they sell Dramalog?
Right.
Yeah, there was no internet back then.
And you're like, Dramalog, get out of here, kid.
Yeah, I wonder where that's. There's no Dramalog.com anymore, so they blew it.
There might be.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Get on that right now.
But so we started driving up to Hollywood, and we did a few of those auditions, and we actually made it. And we did a couple shows.
Wow.
We were pretty young, and we thought we were hot shit. We were comedy legends.
Well, you're from
Robin
La Palma,
Williams.
making up into L.A.,
Yes.
Hollywood.
So we did that, and then
how many are you?
there was 3 of us.
Okay.
It was like me, Terry Schwinn,
Of the Schwinn
and Lloyd.
found bike family?
No, he's actually a teacher at Santa Ana. He's a drama teacher. He became a drama teacher at Santa Ana High School.
So he took to it.
Yeah, no, and he's an amazing teacher. He actually became what Mark Till, and I'm very proud of him because he is such a great influence on a lot of young folks, and he took the reins, became the next Mark Till.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's fantastic. So we were pretty. He's a really funny guy. So we had a lot of fun doing that, and then college. I did not like the theater scene in college. It was a little too.
Now, did you pick San Diego State for theater?
No, picked San Diego State strictly for the parties.
Okay. That makes all the sense in the world.
And it was just far enough away from home.
Right. Okay, so
yes,
instead of you going to New York, or you
right.
said San Diego's just
far enough. Just to get my feet wet, get away from home.
Did you even know if they had a theater department?
No.
You just applied.
I just knew they had a football team and maybe I'll walk on. No. Not a shot in hell. I think I was 6'1", 168 pounds.
Right.
Oh, they needed me.
They needed
the
you.
Aztec football program. They'll get a little bit of this. No.
Didn't happen.
I didn't even try. I was like, holy shit. I saw some of the guys that played on the football team in the cafeteria.
Fourth string. Yeah.
Giant. They were gigantors. And the quarterback back then was Dan McGuire.
Oh, see, that would scare the hell out of you right there.
I saw Dan McGuire. We were playing racquetball on the west side of campus. And Dan McGuire had tree trunks for legs. And he's 6'9".
Right. I still think he's the biggest
quarterback
D1
ever.
Quarterback to at least play, not sit on the bench.
Right. Yeah. No, and he was massive.
Massive.
And I was like, good God. Like, I am one of his legs right now. He doesn't even know he could step on me, and I wouldn't even know it. Yeah,
he was massive.
So
and he had the face shield.
Yeah.
He was the cool guy. He was the first quarterback that had he had the Dan Marino face mask, but he had the shield.
Yes.
And I just thought, Jesus,
badass.
He has to wear that because he's closer to the sun. Like, he's just a beast.
Yeah. No, he was, and just seeing him in person with workout clothes, like he had his short shorts. He was playing racquetball too, and I was just like, "Good God, there's no way I'm playing football at this level."
I'm not blocking for him. I'm doing nothing for this man.
I'm lucky if I'm water boy at that point. So, and I was like, "Okay, football."
I'm funny.
Duh, that's it.
I'm funny.
So football over. I'm just going to be funny at the parties, and
make
I had
Dan laugh.
And I did. I had so. I did. You know, it's funny, my counselor in high school said, oh, you'll be back in 2 years. And I was like, that is mean.
Yeah.
San Diego State is an awesome school, and it is. It really is. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. I think he saw a little bit of himself in me at that, you know. But he was right. So after 2 years of being Van Wilder, I left San Diego State because I took a few drama courses. I took a couple of vocal training classes. Okay. Diction. Lots of me, my, may, mo, moo, whatever. I can't even do it anymore. Right. I'm rusty. So it's been years. So I left San Diego State, and it was an interesting conversation. My dad came down and visited me, and we were at the local, what was that? It was a little diner. Anyways,
this is pre-gas lamp. I mean, it hadn't even become.
Yeah, there was no gas lamp district. Right. There was no downtown.
Yeah, the stadium was at Murphy. There wasn't a
the only thing to do at San Diego back then was party on Fraternity Row.
Right, which was a big one.
A huge. I mean, every night there was something. Right. Every night, and there would be like 60 cakes. Right, and you had to have a wristband, and you could actually walk around the city with an open container. It was totally legal to walk around with booze and even go to the beach and have like an open container. Right. And it was insane. It was pretty out of hand. It was, I think at that time, San Diego State was the number 2 party school in the country. Right. Just under Florida State.
You got the Navy right there. You're blocks away from Mexico. I mean, it's just.
So if you weren't doing the fraternity thing, you were partying in Mexico. You'd go to Tijuana.
Right.
And everybody
take the trolley down, and
everybody knew what clubs to go to, and it was a thing. It was a good time, but then there's a time to grow up.
Right. There's a recipe for disaster right there.
It was like, Dad, I'm sitting across from him at the diner, and he's like, how are things going? I'm like, Dad, I'm just tired. And he goes, what's that mean? And I'm all, I don't know. And he goes, did you want to come home? And he is stoked.
Did he see it in your face?
He wanted me to come home so bad. And I'm like, all right, can I come home? And he's like, yes. When? I'm like, well, semester ends. It was spring, the end of spring.
You got to be careful. He could pack you up during this conversation.
He was so excited to have me come home. This is the same guy that when I got married, he was like, you do know, I know you're having a hard time finding an apartment right now. You do know that me and your mom have an open room you and your wife can stay in, Michelle can stay in, and we love you guys. You can just live with us forever. Don't we have fun together? When we go out to dinner, we go to the movies, we have the best times. I'm like, Dad, no. So my dad liked having us around.
Sure.
We had a good time in the house. There was a lot of funny, a lot of comedy. And so, yeah.
Let's not break up the team.
Yeah, so he was stoked when I was coming home, like back from San Diego State.
Right.
And so I did that. I stayed home, saved some money, started working back home, and then reconnecting with some of my friends from high school that I didn't hang out with in high school. And then you're like, hey, how come we didn't hang out more?
Yeah.
It's the best.
Where you been?
Yeah, let's hang out. And so we hung out, and I did the dreaded drive to UCLA. Because my dad was like, all right, here's the deal. You come home, you want to go to UCLA, you're doing the drive. And I'm like, I can't stay there? And he's like, no, you're driving. And by the way, this is pre-105. Wait, yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, this is pre-105 freeway. So this is straight up the 405 all the way up.
405, the 605.
I think I was late to every class.
Of course.
I didn't last.
You had to find parking.
I lasted one quarter and got the hell out. Seriously.
I'm surprised you lasted a quarter.
And then I took a little bit of time off. I worked at the Black Angus as a bouncer. I don't know why they hired me as a bouncer. I was 175 pounds.
So you bulked up?
I bulked up. I took some Slim Fast when I didn't need to, and I bulked up. And I was a doorman, and I had a cummerbund at the Black Angus nightclub in Buena Park.
The doorman had to wear a cummerbund?
A red cummerbund. It was a black tuxedo shirt, red bow tie, red cummerbund, sleeves rolled up just enough to show the bicep.
You sure this was Black Angus, not Chippendales?
No, it was Black Angus.
Okay, I'm just making sure you were at the right place.
No, I know. I was pretty stunned.
A bow tie. So if you ever had
Black Angus is great for steaks during lunchtime.
Right, but if you
they had a nightclub.
Yes, but if you have to roll with somebody, you're in a cummerbund and a necktie.
Right. It was Chippendales.
Even a bow tie.
That was a very Chippendales outfit.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was interesting.
Rolled up biceps.
The guys that were doormen weren't not bad looking guys. Like they were, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, how tough can these guys be? I got in one scrap, right? I got in one fight there, and it was I got in one fight there, and the guy picked me up, and I was laughed out the door. Because I let a guy pick me up. I'm like, dude, I'm not Patrick Swayze. This isn't Roadhouse. You know what I mean? I'm here to be a doorman and check IDs. I'm not here to,
tear his throat out.
Yeah, what happened was this guy got in a fight with another guy over his girlfriend. Okay,
of course.
I was twice the size of the guy, and I calmed him down. And he was like, "All right, I'm good. I'm not going to be mad anymore. I'm going to be cool. Don't kick me out of the club. I'm going to be cool." And I'm like, cool, and I turned my back, and he spazzed out and picked me up from behind to get to his girlfriend who was trying to leave, because they got in a fight. I never heard the end of it. So it wasn't like I was the greatest bouncer. I just did it. And it was an interesting job to like watch characters, and nothing better than being in a nightclub on the other side of things where you get to see everybody be drunk and act funny.
Yeah.
And you pick up on those characters and those little nuances that people do, and not to mention the characters that work in the bar, the bartenders, the waiters and waitresses. There's a lot of things to learn. I knew I had to get out of there because I was promoted to a waiter. They asked me if I wanted to be a waiter.
Oh boy, you've been there too long.
I'm 19 years old and I'm waiting tables now, and I was the worst waiter. I still would be. I have so much respect for that profession because I would get lost in the tables because I'd have 5 tables. All right, you need a salad, but no ranch dressing, but you want this on the side, and you want no tomatoes. Okay, then it was like playing Husker-Du. I couldn't figure it out. And then the trays, they make you carry everything on a tray, okay? And nothing's worse than the family from because mind you, this is the Buena Park Black Angus on Beach, just down the street from Knott's Berry Farm.
Oh, boy.
So you get the Knott's Berry Farm folks from Utah ordering smoothies, okay? Well, the whole family of 5 ordered smoothies, and they were in tall glasses.
Right, 20-inch tall glasses.
5 of those things on a tray. And I'm like, I'm making it. I'm doing it. I'm making it. Okay, from the kitchen and good God. This is like day 4. I just got trained or whatever, maybe day 5. And I'm like, here's your smoothies. And dude, the whole tray all over. They had red shit dripping on them. And I was like, oh my God, like broken glass. It was a nightmare. It looked like a Stephen King movie. It was awful.
Carrie just
Oh, yeah, it was Carrie and Stephen King and Cujo and Pet Sematary. I don't know, all of them. I swear to God. So I'm standing there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And my general manager walks up and his name was Gary and he was awesome. He had like the cool, like he was like stuck in like 1980s, so he had like the cool like middle part like feathered hair style.
Yeah.
But he was like old, but like cool.
Yeah.
And he had like the cool like mustache and everything. And I'm like, Gary, I don't know what happened. I just lost control. And he was like, don't worry about it. He's like, just walk away. And I'm like, okay.
Just walk away from a family.
Yeah, and I remember him saying as I walked away, he was like, he's new and everything's on the house. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna quit before I'm fired. So I did. I held out another week, did my best, and I quit before I was fired. And I was 19, and I still have so much respect for the profession.
Oh, it's a tough job.
Yes.
Tough job.
Because I'm lame. I can't do it. Oh yeah. So that was a kind of a big job that I did. Not a big job, but like one of the jobs when I first came home.
Right.
And doing the UCLA thing, and I got away from that. I didn't like doing the UCLA thing, so I was like, screw this. I'm gonna do my own college. I'm done. I'm gonna do Cypress and then transfer to Cal State Fullerton, get into advertising. So advertising, because I had creative ideas. I could write stuff.
Okay, so you're going to take your funny, creative,
and I was going to make funny commercials.
It's funny commercials and advertising.
I couldn't be more wrong.
Right.
Advertising is not funny.
Not funny.
Advertising is serious and cutthroat and mean. So I had a professor that was a really good dude, and I was like, oh, this is hardcore. I don't know if I'm into this or not. So I started taking a bunch of English courses. Englished out. I Englished out so much. I just took nothing but Blue Book because I was really good at. I liked English lit.
Okay.
I liked all the stories. I liked the characters. I got into Shakespeare. I liked everything.
So you're writing your butt off.
I was writing my butt off about other people's work, learning about it. Right, those big giant Blue Book exams.
Right. Oh God. Oh, that brings back
those
nightmares.
were awful. So I got really into that, and then I was like a year there, and then I was really enjoying myself, and a friend of mine called and said, hey, and this friend got a D1 scholarship to the University of Nevada.
Okay.
Hurt his back lifting a car. He was pretty strong.
Yes.
And he was like, and then he had a little break from that, and then he's all, hey, Chapman University wants me to come play for them, but they also asked about you. Now, mind you, I was a decent high school football player. I think I wasn't like I had like a couple D2 offers. Coming out of high school, I played defensive end,
okay.
And I had the most sacks, I think, in the county that year. But I was just fast. I wasn't like I was a badass or anything. I was super fast to get off the line, beat the slow lineman, get to the quarterback. Okay? I was decent.
Right.
I wasn't like a great athlete. I mean, I was a good athlete, but I wasn't like D1 by far, no. And so they had seen some film on me or whatever that was still floating around. It was so I went with my buddy to check out Chapman. I didn't know too much about Chapman. I knew I was happy at Cal State Fullerton.
That's a sleepy little school back then.
Yeah. The only time I'd been there, my cousin played for Weber State. She played volleyball for Weber State. And they were in town playing at Chapman, like an exhibition match. I was like, where's that at? Orange. Okay, I'll try and find it. So I got down there and I checked out a game. I was like, wow, this is kind of a cool little campus.
Now, you've never been to Orange at that point. Like, you grew up in La Palma.
My mom liked going to antique shopping in Orange. And
okay.
I was never going to Orange.
Okay.
The antiques, Philip.
Right.
We're going antique shopping. That was my worst nightmare.
Going to the circle.
Yeah, that was my punishment if I was to go shopping with my mom. Nightmare. I mean,
Antique shopping.
Jesus. Pick me up a pair of Tough Skins and let's go.
Yeah, not talking about going to Gemco where you got sections, but looking at old
antique shopping.
Stale furniture.
Yes. So I was not going antique shopping. So I never went to Orange at that point.
And it was hidden in there. It was a hidden little school.
It was just Chapman College.
I remember people saying, "Oh, there's a Chapman University," and I kept thinking,
Chapman College.
Right. Like, where?
Yeah. But now Chapman University, totally different ball game.
Right. Right.
Jim Doty, just amazing with what he did there, and what he's doing and done. So I wasn't too familiar with Chapman, so we did a walk on the campus. We met the coach, and I said, "Sure, sign me up. Let's go." So
Who was the coach then?
Oh, it was Visser, Ken Visser, from the old Long Beach State coach.
Okay.
And yeah, come on, kid. We need bodies, and they were bringing everybody and anybody.
Right.
You were good. You were decent. I remember you. Get over here. So we did that. Tom never showed. My friend Tom.
Nice of him.
He never showed. So I'm at Chapman by myself, and I'm on this football team, and I'm not as big as everybody, and I'm playing D-end, but I'm still pretty quick. I'm hanging.
And you haven't played in 2 years.
I hadn't played in 4 years. I took some time off between.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yes. So let me see. No, it's 3 years.
Okay.
3 years. So I lasted probably the first 3 practices in pads, and then I was done. I was like, I'm done. I felt like I was Old Man River, playing D3 football with a bunch of guys that could run circles around me. And I was like, screw it, I'm wasting time. I shouldn't be playing football right now. I'm wasting time. I need to get a job, need to get moving. So that's what I did. So
you're at Chapman, and do you decide, okay, I'll stay?
Yeah, I thought.
You poked around and said...
I stayed because I fell in love with the film program there. I had a friend that was...
How'd you find it?
I had a friend that was taking some film classes and like, hey, come check out the film program over here. And they had taken over the old cafeteria and were building. But they were the first program. Now, mind you, this is at this point, when I discovered the film program, it was 1994. They were the first program to have nonlinear editing systems. So no more flatbeds. As a matter of fact, the flatbeds were out in the alley outside getting ready to be thrown away for editing.
How did they make that jump? Who at that university saw that in the film department and said, hey, let's
Dean Bassett saw that. And he saw that. He had a pretty good vision. He retired not too long ago. He's been there a long time, and he had a good vision for the film school, and it's thriving today because of him. He had that vision, and USC didn't have nonlinear systems. UCLA, we were the only one on the West Coast to have anything like that.
Jeez.
So, and it was D-Vision is what it was. That was the editing software. It was D-Vision. And the computers were massive. I mean,
God, yeah, they had to be.
They were huge.
It's 94.
1994, guess how big the computers were? 1 gigabyte. 1 gig.
Was it the size of a refrigerator?
They were half a mini fridge, but they were 1 gigabyte, and then we had optical drives if our program was running over 5 minutes. So,
wow.
So we were learning to edit on with nonlinear editing systems, and there were a lot of late nights. So I really fell in love with that aspect of film was the editing and how much control you had. And that actually started a little bit before I got into film school. During my kind of mess around time, while I was working at Black Angus and all that stuff, I started my own, I got involved with public access TV. And I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me the local cable channel has to give me a camera and has to let me be on that channel for all to see.
And this is La Palma,
Cyprus.
Okay.
I think it was Copley Colony at the time.
What channel? 56, 73? What do you?
I can't remember what
UHF something.
Yeah, it was a channel, but I can't remember what number.
Right, but on UHF.
It was pretty popular. Yeah,
very local. You couldn't find it in Brea, but you had to be literally.
It was local, right?
Right in the heart of Cypress.
So they gave me a Canon for a camera. Like I signed up, I passed the test.
So how did you hear about this? Like
I was watching it, and I was like, I can do that. That's horrible.
What, like some ad came on, like if you want to?
No, I was watching cable access TV. Like,
right, and they had an ad, like come on down?
When it was off, like when there wasn't a program on, you'd see the like sign up, like, it was all badly digitized,
right, sure.
bad digital graphics.
If Pac-Man wrote
like
an ad.
A scroll,
right.
Yeah. So I literally went, I'm going to do that. So I drove.
Well, hold on. What flips that switch? To go, I have never been on TV.
I'd been on TV, but
not cable TV, not network TV, not like that.
Not like that.
This is a big jump into the deep end.
Yes. My friends all thought I was crazy. And guess what? I made them jump in with me. I'm all, you are going to be today. We're doing a show, and it's going to be called Ladder Boy.
Okay, well, hold on. But so you have to take a test?
Yeah, you had to take a test.
What kind of test? It's cable access. Just to make sure you're mentally capable?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was to make sure I wasn't insane or going to do some crazy, terrorist show or something.
Right.
Just to make sure they wanted to know what my show was going to be about. So, how do you beat Comedy 101? That was my pitch. I'm doing Comedy 101. It's going to be like Saturday Night Live, but public access. Cable access, comedy for all to enjoy. And I went with it. I went with it pretty hard.
Now, how big is this Canon camera? A little shoulder mount, or is it
it was a biggie back then. It was a Super VHS.
Okay. Everything's 4:3 ratio.
Super VHS.
Right. Yeah.
And the camera was probably 2 feet long and a foot wide with these giant batteries. I mean, it was like holding a bazooka on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Right. So I quickly enlisted.
You signed it out?
I signed a waiver and all that stuff. I had to sign it out.
What does the waiver say? You can't leave the county.
I could go anywhere I wanted. I just had to bring it back. So I'd sign it, and I had to bring it back within 3 days. And
wow.
So I got it. They gave me a lighting kit, like a big old suitcase with lights, with 3 stands, a three camera. What?
Instructions?
No. I just had to figure it out. This is
VHS tape.
I had to figure out what a white balance was, and they gave me, and all that stuff.
Right.
And so it was VHS tape. They gave me the tapes, and they just let me go to town. So I learned through trial and error, and this is pre-film school for me.
Yeah, right.
So I just had a fascination with I can do comedy skits, and I got some cool ideas. And believe me, there were some really weird ideas. I just show up at my buddy's at my buddy's house, and he'd be doing laundry or whatever, or hanging out. And I'd be like, all right, let's go. Where are we going? We're gonna do a skit today. He's like, well, what is it? I'm like, okay, you're gonna drive my car, and then you're gonna smoke on me. And I'm gonna be standing off to the side and on a sidewalk, and you're gonna smoke on me, stop and smoke on me, and then we'll call it the drive-by smoker. Just a stupid skit, and it's done in seriously 10 seconds. He's like, okay, and then now what? I'm like, okay, now come over to the studio, because there was a studio there too. So the studio was my playground, and there was ladders and all
Did you have to
kinds
check it out a certain time?
Yeah, or just say, hey, I'm going to be in the studio from noon to 2. Is anybody in there? Cool, I'll be in there.
Where's the studio at?
It's at the cable station.
Which is where?
This is in the actual cable station's in Cypress.
Okay.
Just off of Valley View and Corporate Way.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't think it's not there anymore. There's a Chili's on that corner now, but if you go a little deeper in, that's where it used to be. It's a corporate little area behind there. So we'd get in there, and I'd be like, okay. He's like, I'd have a couple friends over. I'm like, what are we doing? Where's the script? I'm like, there isn't one. We're just going to make it up as we go. Okay, now you're going to be Ladder Boy. Go get that ladder. Open up the ladder. and here's your spiel. You're going to say, "Hi, I'm Ladder Boy. Sometimes I like to climb and climb and climb, and then we're just going to wing it." And we did this weird skit, and Ladder Boy became a thing because he would do like weird stuff. Like we'd put him, like he had a big old belly, and we would do weird stuff with his belly hanging out, and he'd be climbing the ladder, and it was just, you have to see it to believe it because it's just a really weird skit. So then we would do all kinds of weird things. There was ironic theater.
Ironic theater.
And ironic theater was me in like my mom and dad's house, and I just go out throughout the house. I'd have a sweater and an ascot, and I'd say hello and welcome to ironic theater. Why does this vacuum cleaner have dirt on it? A cleaner with dirt on it? And I'd take some of my dog's hair and put it on top of the cleaner. And how ironic. Stupid stuff like that.
Right.
So I did a bunch of ironic theaters. I did one where
Now, who's editing?
I'm editing it.
Okay.
So I learned how to edit reel to reel to put all this together. So where it gets weird is those are the nice skits. I did one skit where I'm literally walking around in a Speedo, and I took a piece of gum and had a lit cigarette on my ass with some high heels. And after I cut it, it's a pretty funny scene, actually. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to show it to you one of these days. But it's a pretty funny scene, but it's kind of risque for that time.
Oh, God,
and, and so when I had to, so I cut it. I learned how to cut reel to reel.
Okay.
I put my first show together, and it's probably 20 minutes.
I was saying, what's the time? What do they want?
20 minutes is what they said. Okay, so
every month, every week?
Whenever I wanted. So I do a 20-minute show, and I think I did it bi-weekly.
Okay.
Because I needed enough time to shoot and put everything together.
You're doing it all by yourself.
I was doing it all by myself. So, and I was just incorporating like, "Hey, dude, get over here." You know, calling a friend over, like, "Get over here. We're doing this today. Hold the camera. Okay, I'm doing this." And then, so I had to learn how to balance a tripod and do everything on my own. So, so I cut the first one together. I learned on my own. And I did it. I thought I did a pretty damn good job. Like I really enjoyed what I did. I mean, I look back on it, I'm like, so archaic.
Oh, well, yeah, but you can't judge
They're just
that.
hard cuts.
Yeah.
And then to bring the graphic up, there's an actual like knob from like Star Trek to go in warp speed, like, you know, to bring the graphic up.
But that was big then.
It was big, and the graphic was like pink and with like yellow outline edges.
Right.
Like it was really bad. So I put this package together, and now I have to screen it before the committee, the people that the program director, and her minions. She's a really nice lady, Laura Smilkstein. She was the program director, sweet lady. So I show the video to them, the show. And I'm sitting there, and I'm by myself, and it's ice cold.
And you're a kid.
I'm a kid, dude. I'm seriously, I'm 19. And maybe I'm 20. I don't know.
But you're still a kid. I mean, you're good Lord.
So I'm sitting there, and they watch it, and they're like, "Oh, ironic theater. Nice. I like that. Drive-by smoker. Interesting." They got to the one with the cigarette in the ass. And they were like, "Can we show this? Can we show this?" And they actually huddled in front of me and whispered, and then they all came back and went, "You can show this." And they screened it, and it ran for 6 months. Like every episode would run nonstop, and I think I was the only one. I was the only one, so people knew the show. Like it was popular within our little community.
What was the name of it? Did it give you a name?
Comedy 101 was the show. So Comedy 101 was running, and I think it was the only thing on cable access.
Now, did you have credit on there? Did it say Phil?
Yeah, Phil Thurman and the whole deal. Right. Here's the beauty of it. The show, I stopped doing the show. I did it for like a year, right? And I did a bunch of shows. I stopped doing it. My friend Tom... So we're out of college now. We're starting to get into like serious girlfriends. Maybe even getting into, some of the guys are getting married. We're a little older now, more mature. And my friend Tom, the one that was supposed to go to Chapman, that got me into Chapman, he's working at the high school at Kennedy.
Okay.
And he is like a coach, and he's the security guy. Okay. He's the guy in the golf court that busts everybody.
Nothing changes.
Well, he loses all credibility when they started running the show again. And all the kids in high school, between Cypress and Kennedy, all knew who Ladder Boy was because he was the part of Ladder Boy.
He was part.
And they all had taped it and were showing it to each other, and it was a big thing again. So it had like a rebirth.
Right.
So since I don't think it's on any format right now, I just have it on tape right now. I should probably put it on Vimeo.
Yes.
It's so bad though. It really is. It's bad funny.
But it's unbelievable that cable access back then did that. Just said, you know what, here, kid, here's a camera, here's studio time, here's some editing machine, and go at it.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And so when I got into film school at Chapman,
did you feel a little ahead of the curve?
Yeah, definitely. I knew what proper headspace was within the shot,
ratios and all that.
Yeah, I knew how to do a lot of things that other kids were just learning, and so I excelled. I did really well. I went from
And you're a little older at this point. You're not. You're not an 18-year-old jumping in.
No, at that point I was 22.
And there's a lot to be said between 18 and 22.
Yeah, I mean, I was really immature. I was really immature at 18, I think. And then I had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so, as funny as I can be at that time, I was a little depressed. I had a lot of pressure. I felt like I had to know, do I get into plastics?
Right.
I don't know.
You got to know your life course at 18.
What am I doing? Like,
right.
What am I supposed to be doing with my life? I didn't know. I just knew if I went to school, because I took a break from school, if I get back in school, I'll figure it out. And I still hadn't figured it out. So I went to another school. I'm like, man, advertising sucks. I don't like this. What I found out, by the time I hit Chapman and was accepted there and left the football team, I found out that my creative outlet was film. I did stand-up comedy when I was 19 as well. And I liked it. I liked the performing aspect of it. I didn't like the nightclub aspect of it.
Okay.
Is dirty. For me, I didn't like,
right.
There was a lot of drugs and a lot of after hours, things that I wasn't into.
This is late 80s, early 90s. It was
early
wild.
90s.
It was wild still.
Mm-hmm. So I would do shows at the Improv, do stand-up shows there. I didn't like it. I knew I liked performing, but I didn't like after I performed. I didn't like the people I was around, and it was just that time. It was pretty dark.
Right.
And I didn't come from a family of abuse, or I had a really loving, a great childhood, and so I couldn't relate with some of the comedians I was hanging out with.
Right.
So I kind of skipped away and just didn't come back. Now, if I ever lost my job and needed to make a living, I think I could probably jump back up there and do it again and live homeless for a little while and do all that.
Sure.
I could do it, but I don't think I would enjoy it.
Right. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Doing and enjoying it.
And I knew that pretty young, but I did like creating comedy skits. I really enjoyed doing the Copley Colony public access thing, and that kind of fired me up for film school.
So when you saw something like Jackass on MTV for the first time, did you kind of feel like, damn it, we were doing that 7 years earlier?
Sort of.
Like we were doing funny, stupid stuff.
But I wasn't doing stunts.
Right. But they were doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like when I first saw that, I thought, wow, they're just giving these morons cameras to do stuff.
I knew Jackass. I knew about Jackass before it aired. I had a friend that was working with that production company.
Right.
And she told me all about it one night at a bar up in East Hollywood. And I was like, what? What? And she was explaining it to me, and I couldn't grasp the concept. Like, how is that entertaining? But she was like, it's hilarious. You have to see it.
Right.
She's like, it's awesome. And when it came out, obviously, awesome, exploded, amazing. But at that time, when she was explaining it to me before it came out, I couldn't grasp that concept.
Right.
How's that funny?
Yeah.
But it is.
They're just doing nothing.
Yeah. But it's
you're
funny.
laughing.
It's funny. So film school, got into that. And then that was the only time that I was ever on the dean's list. I mean, I really excelled. I enjoyed it that much.
You're finding a niche now.
All my time and effort into that. Yeah.
You're jumping in, and it's good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But the thing that scared the death out of me was the dark cold after graduation.
Right.
I'm right now. I got a nice snuggly blanket wrapped around me.
Everybody
I'm in
loves
college.
me.
I mean,
Right.
I did. Everybody loves me in college.
Mentors everywhere.
And I'm hearing these nightmares about interns and
PAs and the whole. Right.
Yeah, I had to get an internship, and I was like, oh God. And I had a friend that worked for big Hollywood producer, a big one at that time, huge. And he was getting yelled at every day by this producer.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not going up there to. I'm like, I don't think I want to work for anybody. I don't think I started taking on little gigs. Someone would pay me to edit stuff.
Okay.
So I was kind of working on the side, making a little bit of money while I was in film school because I was pretty decent at editing. And so I was like, man, I could just do this and then grow. And so
Become something, sure.
I didn't want to. So I went. My internship was didn't help because my internship was. All right. So my internship was in porn.
Somebody needs a grip or a cameraman
But I'm such a wimp. I showed up on the first set and I was like, oh my God. And it was like girls topless playing volleyball in the water, like in a pool. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't know it was porn. I just thought the guy had a lot of money and had a lot of girls hanging out at the office because I just showed up in an office and I just thought it was a production company in Orange County.
Right.
And he had this whole building to himself, high rise to himself. And I was like, man, this guy's a lot of money. So he's starting something new. He's getting the editing bays going. I can help. I can do this. And he's like, all right, kid, show up on the set. It's this place, I showed up at this house and I was naked and I was like, so this is porn? And he's like, yeah, what'd you think it was? And I was like, oh, I can't do that. I have a girlfriend. Like, I'm wholesome. Jeez, I don't want
I gotta get back at Mulberry Street.
I just want to do funny stuff. I don't want to do naked stuff. So I made a deal with him because he's like, all right, kid, don't tell that it was porn. So we'll keep it between you and I, and you won't do the porn. You just do all the office work. So I'd show up like once a week, do office work at the office, and just
Right.
get through it and get the grade. And I didn't want to. I was shocked. I didn't want to have that attachment. Plus, I didn't want the school to get in trouble. And
Right. You didn't need that.
no, so I kept it real quiet and under wraps. And since then, that company moved way after, has moved since, so they're not even around. But so yeah, I went from that, and I knew I didn't want to work for anybody once I graduated, and I took a job. It was the worst gig I ever did in my life. A friend of mine's like, hey, you just graduated. There's this sweet gig in that I've been doing for the last few years, and it's like shooting equestrian shows. I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty
What?
cool. Yeah, really random. And I'm like, just being a cameraman? He's like, yeah. All right, cool, I can do that. So he's like, all right.
Across the country?
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm like, well, where is it? He's like, it's in India at the Polo Grounds. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yes.
Go out there.
Okay.
It's July. No, actually it's June, but just starting to get hot. And I remember I shot for 2 days straight and then at night when we came back, we all had to sleep in this room. It was like 5 of us to a room. And the lady that ran the company was like having sex with some guys. It was bizarre. It was probably the worst job I ever took. And I was like, I finally day 3, I was like, after working, I had like dirt in my mouth and
Grit,
horse poop still stuck in my nostrils smell. And there were 12-hour days of just shooting horses. And you're just getting your ass kicked. And so day 3, I'm like, hey, I quit. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, and I quit. I just don't think it's very professional the way this is being run. And this isn't how I envisioned myself working right after graduating from college. And meanwhile, she's in just a T-shirt and underwear sitting on a bed. And I'm like, I'm out right now.
I gotta go.
And I literally drove down the 10 as fast as I could. And I thought to myself, I'm shooting a movie this summer. Fuck working for anybody else. I had a script already written. I'm shooting a movie this summer.
Had you written it during your time at Chapman?
I did. I wrote Degenerate at that time. Mind you, it was only 60 pages. I had 10 grand, and that's how I made it. I made the movie. Actually, I had 10 grand, and I had to borrow 5 from Grandpa to finish it because I ran out of money in post-production.
So why at Chapman did you decide directing, not writing, not producing? What was because there's so many prongs in the film industry. You could have just been an editor and said, I like to edit, I'm good at it. What was the drive to be
That's a good question.
the top dog, which also carries the most weight on your shoulders?
You did, and and that's a really good question. I know I didn't want to work for anybody else.
Okay.
I know I had ideas that I wanted to get out, that I had written, and that I get these ideas and I just have to put them out somehow, some way. So I either A, write them, or B, I'm just going to write and then I'm going to shoot them and produce it.
Okay.
So while in film school, you kind of learn that by being the director, you have more control over your project, over your baby than anybody else.
Always, sure.
So so basically I was doing everything to maintain control. So I was producing, writing, and directing to maintain control of what I was doing. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be what was called or is called an auteur.
Okay.
So that was my goal. I saw myself as an artist. I know it's kind of corny.
Sure, but it's true.
But I still see myself as an artist. Even today, I'll be an artist till I die. And the fact that I work where I work now at Fullerton College, I'm still an artist. And I just have a different way of expressing and getting that out in my format.
Right.
So that's why I feel that I had to take the reins and go that direction.
Okay.
And at least try it, because I'm like, man, what do I got to lose? Again, it comes down to failure and rejection. You got to be able to take that and run with it. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of rejection and you're going to see a lot of failure. And there's going to be times you want to just bury your head in a pillow and cry. But then if you keep pushing, the reward is great. And, I was always told, set your goals high. If you hit a little bit lower than what your goals are, your highest goal is,
right.
You still win.
Yes, absolutely.
You still win. And so that's how I
go big.
That's
go
how
big.
I approach it. And I actually write my goals down on a piece of paper. And I write a top 10 list.
Now, where'd you get that from?
That was from Mark Till in drama class in high school. And what a great thing he taught us. Write down your goals, because now you've asked for it. You've asked the universe for it, and you can go back and get it. You could reach for it.
There's a big difference seeing it too.
Yes.
Saying it's one thing. Seeing it, going back. Okay, this is what I said Tuesday.
And
people
are going to make fun of you and say, how stupid.
Right.
Oh, you think you can do that? Oh, you just think you can just direct? You think you can just make stuff? Oh, where are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do this? I don't give a shit. Where there's a will, there's a way. And if I want to do something, I will get it done.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Right. And I love that attitude, because I can't stand the people that constantly sit around and say, I'm going to do and never do, don't try, and are afraid of failing or the fear of failing.
Or blaming others.
Right. I'd rather do it, have it fall on its face and be like, I tried, gave it 110%, it just didn't work out, than sit there for weeks, months, years, in that moment on your deathbed and say, boy, I really wish I would have given that a shot.
Bingo. And again, it goes back to my mom. She started painting again and it was too late. She, you know what I mean?
Right.
My mom passed away.
One jackass.
Yeah. So she passed away while she was still painting. She didn't get to finish. She didn't finish her paintings.
Right.
And that affected me. Especially losing my mom, that really affected me in the fact that she never got to fulfill her dreams. She didn't want to live in La Palma.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She wanted to be in Laguna.
Right. A lot of artists in Laguna.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Your mother could have had a gallery, could have been writing her or painting her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could have gone to Laguna High.
Yeah.
God knows what could have been.
I know, right? So that's where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna carry that on for her.
Right.
So I think of those things, if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling down, I think of those things and I'll attack them. And I'll attack them the way I want to attack them.
And those are good cards to have.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to teach my kids that.
Yes.
But the hard part is the rejection. You got to be able to handle the rejection.
You're going to eat it. Mm-hmm. You can't be afraid of that.
So a perfect example, after I made my first film, Degenerate,
right.
I made it.
How long? How long did that take?
To make an independent film, and it takes 3 years, I thought that was just a fluke because I was new.
And this is what year?
I made that in 1996.
Okay, so independent films are hot.
Yeah,
hot in the
but
Reservoir Dogs.
At that time, that was Reservoir Dogs, all that stuff. That was a hotbed in the early 90s. By the mid 90s, the market saturated.
Right, everybody had just bought up everything.
So that was hard for me to sell it. I had a hard time selling and getting distribution. So I didn't get distribution for that film until 2000. So it took a few years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah, it took some time. And and again, that period of time, I was still working. I'd created my own company. I was doing commercial work, doing some stuff for DirecTV, doing some commercials, doing whatever I could to stay afloat, and then started working on another feature film.
Right.
But in that period where my film hadn't sold, I put my soul into that movie.
Everything you had.
Everything. And mind you, it's not a great movie. It's a straight-to-DVD, everybody dies in the end movie.
Sure.
It's a film noir movie. It's a gangster flick. It's cool. It's fun to watch. It's weird. It's not a comedy, which floored all my friends. Like, what?
That's what I was going to ask you, because I've seen it. Okay, so you're a funny ha-ha guy, and now all of a sudden you have this.
It's a dark movie. Yeah.
Where did you sit in your dorm or in Chapman and come up with that instead of funny ha-ha?
I thought it would be easier to make.
To be dark.
Yeah, I thought it would be the easiest, cheapest film to make, just to get it off the ground.
You said cheapest.
Cheapest.
You really felt cheapest was a big thing in there?
Yeah.
I can get it done in 10 grand.
I didn't have the money to do a big production. So I thought, okay, horror film's easy to do. I already know guys that have the squibs and the materials and the blood capsules. I know guys that have a bunch of guns. I got a really dicky car right now. I have a 1972 Cadillac that has a leopard interior with a hula doll on it. That's what the bad guys will drive.
Right.
And so I made this really cool little weird movie, and it's dark. And I still stand by it today. The movie wasn't completely finished until 99.
Okay.
So 96 to 99. So I put it in the can, shot it on 16 millimeter, vision stock color, with an Ariflex SR2, and we shot, I think it was 20 days in July. I put that shit together pretty quick.
Is that an all Chapman crew?
All Chapman crew. Yeah.
Sound, editors,
actors. And then you get a couple friends. No,
Okay.
not actors. Actors, I went through Hollywood. I actually casted through Hollywood.
Now the lead in that, he's Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Field.
But Bobby in Throwing, right?
Yes.
So he's been in a couple of your films.
He's been in a bunch of my
films.
films.
He was in Guy in Front Row.
He was actually, we ended up partnering up for a time. So he was a part of Odessa Films.
But he's not a Chapman guy.
No.
Okay.
So he was a Hollywood guy,
Okay.
came out from Miami, actor. He'd before we met, he did a movie called God Money.
Okay.
That was a punk rock flick by Darren Doan. Interesting part about that movie is some folks will make an argument that God Money was the first film that showed somebody getting their skull stepped on off of a curb with their teeth on the.
Okay.
That was done in God Money first before it was done in American History X.
Yes, right.
So that was shot from God Money.
Oh, the stealing in Hollywood can go on forever.
Yeah.
But
so Bobby's in there. Bobby's in the mix. I had worked with a number of other actors through short films I'd done in film school.
Okay.
So while you're in film school too, you learn how to throw out casting notices Hollywood actors.
Sure.
Because Hollywood actors are still real hungry to get stuff for their reels, film for their reels.
Absolutely.
So they'll come and do a bunch of student films.
So many people that don't want to work.
Yeah. So Claude Duhamel, who plays Ralphie in Degenerate.
Okay.
He was in a student film from a friend of mine that I was working as an assistant director on, and I loved the way he acted. And I still love the way he acts. He's fantastic to watch. So I knew right away he had to play Ralphie. So I was like, hey, Claude, you got to come do this movie. And so he came, and he's my favorite part of the movie.
So you're doing this film. You're the top guy. You're calling all the shots. You're writer, producer, director. How many other hats are you wearing? Like, are you literally like location scout, production coordinator, key grip? Like, you just name it.
I did everything.
We all go to Del Taco?
Yeah, seriously. The catering was, I had a friend that was in film school whose dad liked to cook, so I paid him a certain amount of money.
Right, here's a stipend. So here's $1,500 and you feed us for 20 days.
Here's turkey sandwiches today, and here's this. So that worked out really well. Then location scouting, I did all the location scouting. So most of the film is shot in Anaheim off of Lincoln, not too far from, well, everything's kind of central in Anaheim. And it's kind of more of an industrial part. What's the famous bar there? Social Distortion.
Oh, Jesus. I know what you're talking about.
I love that place.
Yes.
Oh my God, it'll hit me in a minute.
It's right off of the Lincoln and the 5 right there.
I've been there a million times. I love that place. Anyways, I was supposed to shoot there. The place was too small. Linda's Doll Hut. Linda's Doll Hut. I was supposed to shoot there for a scene, and it was too small, obviously, because it's the size of a living room.
Right.
But I wanted to have some OC punk influence. So I shot at another nightclub that in Costa Mesa, and then we shot all around Anaheim, and the one place was Costa Mesa that was outside of Anaheim, and then from there we shot in Death Valley for all the desert stuff. So we spent. It was really hot too. It was gnarly.
Oh God, yeah.
The martini shot, which is the last shot. My DP. I go, did you get? It was a wide shot of a Cadillac driving in the middle of the dunes out in Death Valley, and the car gets stuck out there at some point in the movie, and that's the martini shot. Is the car in a wide shot pulling in this black Cadillac amongst these dunes, and that's it, right? And I go, did you get the shot? And the DP was his name's Tony Garcia. We went to Chapman together. He's a great guy. And I'm all, did you get the shot, Tony? And Tony's always famous for the OK sign. He had his hat on backwards. He's all sweaty. He's holding the camera, and he manages to give an OK sign, and then turns over and starts throwing up. He got the heat. You know? So the heat got to him.
He's got a heat stroke out there.
Yeah, so we had to get him a bunch of water. Thank God I felt so bad. And that was the martini shot.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
It was pretty nightmarish shooting out there.
I mean, that's tough doing your own film. You're looking at lighting. You're in charge of the script, rewrites, everything. I mean, independent films like that, there's a few people.
And a locational change in a heartbeat.
Right.
So you got to rewrite.
No permits. You're running and gunning.
Yeah, we got chased off in Anaheim by the cops.
Oh,
cops
sure.
Came. Yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. We didn't. I mean, because you're running and gunning.
Right.
There's no permits.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Because you can't
or
afford.
An hour.
Yeah, except for scenes where there's gunplay.
Right.
You got to have cops on site. You got to have everything done right, or else you're going to be in big trouble.
Sure.
So yeah, so we did that and finished the film in '99. Had a screening, and then I took a bunch of meetings with all these distributors, small time ones, just straight to video guys.
Right.
I'm like, man, I just want to get a distribution deal. That's it.
Yeah, just take it.
That's what I felt like. I didn't even care about the money at that point. I'm like, just. I
made it.
I'll just somebody
take
right?
it.
Yeah, nobody. Now, so that's where I get with the darkness and the rejection and the heaviness of that. But you fight through it, and you keep going. And you find out who your friends are. Some of your friends are like, oh, dude, your movie totally sucked. You can't even get a distribution deal.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay. We'll see where we go. But eventually it will. And it went there. It eventually got a distribution deal, and we ended up doing another movie. So, yeah.
That's the fun part, is not stopping. Keep going. Right? So this is happening. This is a big deal for you. This is your first feature. Are you writing at this time, or are you going to put on the brakes, wait, hope to get a distribution deal, and then start up again? Because this is new for you.
Yeah.
So what is your process?
I always write. Like I always write because I think I'll wake up from a dream and I'm like, wow, that was crazy, and I'll write it. So I'm always writing. So I wrote and wrote and wrote. I think I have probably 10 or 12 scripts that I've written, and then I'm constantly writing. So that's what I was doing then. So in between that writing, I'm writing commercials and pitching those to companies,
right?
And taking meetings, and at the same time we're working on those commercials and selling, and we're pitching again. And it's a constant circle of pitching, selling, coming up with ideas. And this was just the commercial work. And then we got into, all right, let's make another movie. So Bobby, who played Blair in Degenerate, at that point we got pretty close as far as we knew we wanted to work together more.
Okay.
And so brought him into Odessa, and
now, why the name Odessa? Friday Night Lights, Texas. Where does that come from?
I'm a big fan of the Kuleshov effect, which is you take 3 separate images and you have 3 different outcomes by putting those images together to create a meaning. And the Odessa Steps from Battleship Potemkin, which is a Russian propaganda movie.
Right.
The Odessa Steps is a scene where a baby carriage is going down during a fight scene. During war, people are getting shot.
Totally ripped off again in Untouchables.
Bingo. Thank you for pulling that. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that scene.
I think there's only 2 movies ever made, and they just keep overlapping and stealing scenes from each other.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the Untouchables did steal that shot.
Yeah.
Almost shot for shot.
Right, Brian De Palma, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And it's an homage. That's what they say.
Yeah, of course.
But, it's, yeah.
Everything's an homage.
It's an homage. So I'm a big fan of being able to, and I really like the idea, and I learned that when I had my little cheesy cable access show, was, wow, how powerful that is to take 2 separate ideas and shots, and by those 2 separate ideas together create a third, more powerful idea. So that's why I liked Odessa.
Okay.
So I created Odessa Films, and then I got rid of Odessa Films, and then I created Odessa Films USA because someone else took Odessa Films. So it happens.
Damn it.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe it'll be another name next week. Who knows? But
So from there you jump into, is it Guy in Row 5?
Guy in Row 5. So Bobby wrote this script with another young lady, Matria Tomovich.
Now what year is this?
This was now we're skipping ahead pretty deep because.
Well, okay. So tell me after the fight for distribution. Between the first film and the second film, we were just doing commercials and industrial pieces. Okay, so you're just banging out work.
Yeah, but still writing.
Right.
And getting off the ground and saying, wow, I did this. I can do this on my own.
Right.
I created a production company. Wow, I'm pretty excited about that because people laughed at me and I said, good luck, dude.
Yeah.
So it was cool to say, hey, I'm making money at something I love.
And there are people that make a living just doing meat and potatoes,
right,
day in, day out commercial
Especially
work.
the industrial stuff.
Right.
The industrial stuff is boring as hell, but it pays the bills.
It pays the bills,
yes,
and it's always there.
Right. So we did a bunch of industrials, we did a bunch of commercials, and we built some relationships along the way. It was cool. And then Bobby had been trying to make this movie, Guy in Row 5, which is about a movie extra who thinks it's his last day of anonymity, and he's going to be famous, and he's going to be on the new hot show, Rodeo Nights. And it's like a bad Melrose Place meets 90210 show.
Meets O.C. Hills.
Right.
Meets
and the character just goes around Hollywood. And it was the first... This film, we shot it as if it's a very first person. Like he wants it documented.
Right.
So it's shot Hollywood style, but with a documentary flair.
Right, because the crew's in it, the mic boom, everything.
The camera is a character in it. The cameraman is a character in it. So
his girlfriend, right?
His girlfriend is the character in it. So, and she's the boom operator.
Right.
But
she's Rose.
Right.
Right. She's not Rose. She's Rose.
And his whole idea, I mean, he just loves the movie Titanic. And his whole idea of being a Hollywood star is the be-all, end-all. And so he thinks it's his last day, and he's going to be on this show, Rodeo Nights, and it's his last day of anonymity, and that's where the movie takes you through this array of Hollywood characters, Hollywood scenes, and ultimately he's crushed because he's not on the show, and then how he rises back up and still chases his dream. So he may not get on that show, but he gets on another show.
Restart all over again.
Right. So and now he's back at it, and he's re-energized. So it did really well on the film festival circuit. We won a number of awards. LA Film Festival, CineQuest, up in San Jose. It just did very well. We traveled a lot with that movie. So this was 2004-05. We shot the movie in 2003. We put it in the can in 2004, and then we started doing the film festival circuit in 2005.
Okay.
And it did very well, like I said. Got a lot of great audience response, good response from a lot of the big agencies. We had some pretty good name TV actors in it. And so it was doing really well. The market at that time was horribly saturated. Nobody was buying independent. So we were getting all these kudos and awards, and we're doing radio interviews and TV interviews, and we're getting picked up in limos, and it's cool, right?
Right.
And I thought, whoa, we're on the way up. But I know in the back of my mind, I'm not dumb. The market is saturated. I keep my finger on that pulse. So I keep telling my partners, we're going to have a hard time selling this movie.
Right. There's nothing there.
So the only deal we get, we take.
Right. Don't argue.
Yes. So at that time, my mom comes down with brain cancer. And my dad is an emotional wreck. My brother, who's older, emotional wreck. And so
you're trying to pitch a show.
Yeah, and I'm trying to sell a show, and at the same time, I'm trying to shoot Coach Ted the movie. So I have that script put together, and I'm talking to investors on the backside to get Coach Ted the movie. So I do get some investors dealed in, but they want to see Guy in Row 5 sell before they jump in.
Before they touch. And yes.
Okay. So so we're dealing with that. So it's pretty hectic, crazy time because I'm taking care of my mom. I moved back in the house temporarily we have a condo. My wife and I have a condo, and we kind of move our stuff in. We're like, hey, we're going to take care of her because she's bedridden.
Right.
So we had one offer, and it was on a day. The meeting was on a day I had to take my mom to have Gamma Knife done at Hogue in Newport. And so I just told my partners, I'm all, hey, whatever you do, take the deal. Whatever they offer, take the deal.
$10,
we can move on and we can do Coach Ted.
Yeah.
And I remember Bobby calling me and saying something to the effect that we're holding out for a theatrical. We're not going straight. They offered straight to DVD. And I flipped. I'm like, that's the only deal we were going to get because the movie's good.
Right.
I don't know if it's theatrical good, but we're growing. We're trying to do baby steps.
Take it.
We're not trying to be Matt Damon and Ben Affleck here. You know what I mean? So
and they struggled in the beginning. They wrote that because they couldn't get anything.
Yeah, but we weren't going to be that movie.
Right.
We were not that movie. Good
You're
God,
not Good Will Hunting. Yeah.
No. So there wasn't a deal done, and I was like, man, you fucked up, and I was pretty mad, and I said, I'm out, I'm done.
Right. I'm dealing
done
with mom. I don't need this shit.
So I just pulled out completely. I disengaged. I remember I told my wife, hey, I'm pulling the carpet. And she's like, well, what's that mean? And I'm like, well, I think I'm fed up with the industry right now. I just think there's too much on my plate. I'm pissed off at my partners, which they really didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted something better, but they weren't realistic. And I think that made me angry, plus all the other emotions of my mom dying.
Sure. And you really got to have a good sense of the moment.
Yeah.
What do you have? Do you have the next great movie? Do you have just a movie, or do you have a directed-to-video movie?
I'm looking at what's more important in my life. I had kind of an epiphany, like, do I want to do this, continue doing this? Do I want to be a better husband? Because I wasn't home very much.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, honey, I can't make dinner. I'm still editing.
Right.
Or, hey, I'll be home in a little bit. Because at this point, we have our production set up in East Hollywood. And I'm still commuting to Orange County.
Right.
I'm an Orange County guy. I'm not leaving Orange County.
Right.
So but
the industry's in LA.
So but even though they're internet, but they still didn't have the technology. You could still work from Orange County today. It's a lot different today.
Totally.
So at that time, you had to be in LA. So, and my wife was not going to move to LA, and I wasn't going to move to LA. So I drove there a lot of driving.
Up the 5.
So I was physically tired, mentally tired, and I was just spent. So I literally looked at my wife and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't like the fact that I'm smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. I smoked at that time. I can't even believe I ever smoked. Stupidest thing I ever did. So I was smoking a pack of cigarettes. I was 40 pounds overweight, okay? And I wasn't exercising, and I felt like shit every day, and I was yelling at people.
Right.
I'm not a yeller guy. I was the funny guy, not the yeller.
Yeah.
So
pressure.
So I didn't like it. So I didn't like what I was becoming, and so I just looked there and I said, "Look, I'm pulling the carpet out, and I own everything on Odessa. They can go do their own thing. My other 2 partners can go do their own thing, and no hard feelings." And my wife goes, well, what are we going to do for money? I said, well, I still got 3 clients that are mine. I could milk those. Those will work for a year. And I just got to hustle and build it back up. But I don't know if I want to do it anymore. I'm working on my own.
Right. You got a couple of clients.
And I got a couple of clients. I'm working on my own. I'm living in a condo with my wife. We don't have kids yet.
Is Michelle working?
Yeah, Michelle's working as a paralegal.
Mom still alive?
Mom just passes. Okay. So devastating, right?
Right.
So
that's a lot of emotion.
She didn't last a year. So, and what gets you with brain cancer is not the actual cancer, it's the actual the cure that they're trying to impose. Right. So that sets off a series of grand mal seizures. And it's like being electrocuted, and then before you know it, you can't even get out of bed.
Oh, Jesus.
So she's bedridden, and then your organs just shut down. So she died in 2005, in April of 2005. And so we're devastated. I can't even focus. I mean, she's everything to me.
Right.
It's devastating to lose a family member. But when you lose your mom, it's like your whole childhood, goes, everything goes. I thought losing a dog was hard, that I grew up with, because you see your childhood go away there. But like when you lose your mom, like it's everything that you think you are wrapped up in one, and it's gone.
Right. I never met your mother, but the way you talk about your mom is very much, it sounds like the way my relationship is with my mom, where yes, she's your mother, but it sounds like she's also like your comedy partner, like your best friend, and like, you could banter off, you can tease, you can joke with. Like,
I can honestly say, Matt, that our moms would have gotten along awesome. It would have been a fucking riot.
Yes.
Because your mom's hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been just an absolute
Yes.
Wild.
Yes. So,
I mean, I banter with my mom on the way for hours. We just rant about
it's
stuff.
fun.
Yes.
It's fun. You just bounce stuff off of
Yeah,
each
sure.
other.
I mean, her Bernie Sanders impression just kills. And she just goes on and on and on.
Oh my God, it's awesome.
And the one time her and I took her on a trip and we're on New England. This is 17. So he got screwed already. He got screwed by Hillary, and we're in Vermont. And we walk into a restaurant and he's there. And my mom's like, and her first step was to do the impression.
Right
I'm like,
at him. She was
no,
like,
no, you can't do that. He's a sitting senator.
Yeah.
You can't just go up to him and be like,
Oh my God.
just drop. But
that'd have been awesome.
her first step was to charge him
Yeah.
and just go full Bernie.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm like, no
fear. Just
we
go
gotta
for it.
Eat.
Yeah.
If he's still here when we're done, then you can drop
They're Secret Service. You don't even know where they're at.
You could drop the old Jewish man, but not right now.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my God.
Mom.
That's
like her
hilarious.
first impulse.
Yeah, is to go get it.
Yeah.
I love that. So it's just, like I said, like your mom's everything, know, and so I was kind of just in a haze for a little while. I'd probably put on more weight than I'd ever in my life. I mean, I think I was up to 260.
260?
Close to it. Yeah. I was pretty heavy.
You should have gone back to Chapman and see if you
I
could
know, right? Actually at Chapman, I was like 195 because I had to get in shape for football.
Where
I was
was
in great
Dan
shape.
McGuire?
Yeah, right? I'll kick his ass. Or at least his leg.
I'll show you. Bruise your shin.
Where is he now?
Yeah.
He's got arthritic knees.
He's still
I'll take him
6'9",
out.
though. Jesus.
I know. It's a tall glass of football.
So
yeah.
So you're done with that.
So-
Mom's passed.
So I'm in a haze. I'm like, man, I got to lose a little bit of weight. So I start training. I would never let myself get that way again. Like it was just depression. Just
there's
all
nothing
that
you can
hanging
do.
on you.
Right.
So
You're eating, you're drinking, you're not doing anything.
It's just too emotional.
Right.
So I started.
But that's unbelievable for you to say, hey, I can't do this. I have got to drop the weight and get my shit straight.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that stay in that funk.
Well, I started to quit. I started to cut down on my cigarettes and started working out because I was always an athletic guy. I was always in shape, and I'd never been that out of shape before.
Right.
And obviously, emotional eating,
Right.
drinking, lots of drinking. I was probably. I'm really funny when I drink because I'm masking so much crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm really funny when I drink. Should get some booze in here.
Yeah. The filter comes off and it just becomes raw.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But good.
Yeah.
So I'm doing my work. I'm doing my thing. And then I get a phone call from Tom Deep again. What, do you want to go to Chapman and lose me?
Or is he trying to find a ladder?
You need a ladder boy? What is it, Tom? What do you want, Tom?
Leave me alone, Tom.
Do you know how to make a media guide? What's a media guide? Mind you, now Tom's at Fullerton College at this point, and he's working as a football coach, an assistant football coach, under the great Cal State Fullerton coach, Gene Murphy. And Gene Murphy's football program at Fullerton College is in need of a football media guide. So Tom lets me know, he's like, hey, we're going to pay you a good chunk of money. You're really good at that Photoshop, and you know how to do
that Photoshop.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't know. And
Facebook.
And do you know? I think it was what was before InDesign. Was it
Dreamweaver?
Dreamweaver. No. Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver's for the web.
Yeah.
Right? InDesign.
I knew Dreamweaver. Still owes me money. Sorry. But a poop. No, I knew how to do Dreamweaver back then. Whatever InDesign was before it.
What the hell was that?
Not Pages. Oh my God, it was awful. Anyways, I knew how to do that stuff. I knew how to put books together,
Right.
magazines
This is
together.
05.
Yeah, I had to learn how to do that stuff because, again, I had to wear every hat when I was doing promotionals. I had to know how to do poster work. So I was self-taught in Photoshop, self-taught in how to put magazines together, how to put pamphlets together, because I had to sell things. I had to sell ideas. And that's how I sold my ideas, by making things look pretty and creative. And I always had a knack for photography. So I would take my own pictures. Nothing comes close to what you can do, but I would take my own pictures and then distort the crap out of them, make them look pretty and cool, and we'd go from there. So I knew how to do that stuff. So I said, sure, I'll figure it out. Send me what a media guide looks like. I'll start working on one. So I did. I started working on a media guide, and then I get a call, and it says, hey, the guy that was supposed to make the media guide just got fired. What? Yeah, you should come try out for this job. Okay, dude, that's so weird to me. Like, working at a community college as what? Well, as a sports information director. I'm sorry?
As a what?
An SID.
Yeah.
What, a SID? What is that? What is a sports information director? Can you explain that to me? He's like, well, basically, it's what you do now for film, but you'll be doing it for sports. And I thought, wow, that sounds bitchin'. I'm all, does it pay pretty good? No, not really. But I think you'll like it, dude. It's sports, and it's being creative. It's what you like to do. Okay. But, to make up for it, we'll have you teach some classes. But I don't know how to teach. I've spoken to a few high schools, classrooms, about movies and stuff, but I guess I'll do that. And then, so I met with Gene Murphy. I met with Dr. Susan Beers, the dean at that time.
Right.
Had a few meetings. I had to do a big old interview in front of a whole committee, and Dr. Beers calls me into her office. I come and show up, and she says, I want to hire you for this job, but I don't think you'll stay very long. And there's a younger kid who's just out of college who wants the job too, and we really like him. And I was like, well, I could tell you right now, I have a baby on the way. So now Logan is now, in Michelle's belly.
Yeah.
And
he's in the oven.
And I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of hustling. I'm doing the math in my head, man.
Right.
And I'm like, man, paying for insurance sucks for just me right now. And I got a baby on the way. This is a college. Benefits
it's not closing,
pretty good.
It's not relocating.
I took the job for the benefits, really.
Right.
The benefits. I'm like, I don't care what you pay me. I'm pretty comfortable right now. I want the benefits. So I said, no, I want this job. I got baby on the way. I need the benefits. I want this job. I had no idea what I was doing when I got it. I had no idea what the job was going to entail. Not a clue. So she said, she says, can you promise me 2 years if I hire you? 2 years to stay? Yeah. Well, of course, I'll give you 2 years. Why wouldn't I? And then, can you just tell me what? She goes, well, I think you're going to go back to Hollywood. And you Hollywood types are flaky. And I'm like, well, I'm not actually a Hollywood type. I'm actually different. But I'm gonna promise
I appreciate
you.
That.
Yeah, right.
Thanks.
I'm gonna promise you 2 years, and she goes, fine, you got the job. I'm like, awesome. I'm really excited, and I'm like, wow, I'm working for a college now. I'm like really excited about that, and I've always been on my own. I worked at Black Angus and a few other small places.
But never a team.
But I never worked as a team member for somebody. I've always been on my own, working for myself and in charge of my own destiny, I guess, in that realm. So I was pretty scared. It was a big change for me. I had to work now. I had to listen to 30 different coaches. That's head coaches and assistant coaches. I had 21 sports at that time. No, 20 sports at that time. Now we have 21. 20 sports that I had to promote, sell, market. Sports marketing rep is the actual title,
right?
Official title. And I called. What I did was I was like, screw this. I'm calling other SIDs. I don't even know them. So I called other guys doing my job at other colleges. How do I do my job? I know how to like put the website together.
You must have been great in the interview to just kind of go, I could do this.
Do you know what? I was so scared. I was at my funniest. And that was a compliment. She said that Dr. Beers told me, and I still remember it vividly. She said, this is probably the funniest interview I've ever been a part of. Because I was scared, so I was throwing out my A game. Yeah, my ha-ha funny stuff. And I mean, I knew what I was talking about. And what they were looking for was a guy like me. So it worked.
Because you got to balance all the egos of the coaching staff, the administration, be responsible, organized.
Yes. And the guy before me was strictly a statistician.
Oh, God, he drove me nuts.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy, but he's a statistician. He's super smart, but he's not going to give you the artsy fartsy. Right. I'm giving you the artsy fartsy. You want the cool look, you want the creativeness. That's what they wanted in me. They wanted to get away from just stat guy.
Right. And the backstory is, I was the team photographer at that point. I had been the team photographer since '97, so I had been with Ryan Ermeling. Mm-hmm. Right, he was a big graphics guy. He fell in love with the ability to have photography, and then Eric. Yeah. So he did it, and then John came in, and he was just numbers.
Like he didn't know any
none.
When you're working there and you're working as the photographer, and you're like, I got this idea. What did he say?
Right, nothing. He didn't know anything about the posters we wanted to do or programs, the day game programs. We had really done some unbelievable stuff leading up to that with Ryan and Eric, and then John just went, we don't need that stuff. But the coaches we've got them hooked. Yeah. They're on the crack wagon to
that's what they want.
We want that.
They want pretty books and pretty posters.
And this is pre-internet. The internet's around, but not at our level.
Well, the internet was completely, the website for the athletics website for Fullerton College, there wasn't one.
Right.
It had fallen off. He wasn't taking care of it.
Right.
And I had to create a whole new website. I had to create a whole bunch of other things, not to mention to clean the office. The office was a train wreck.
It looked like his car, if you remember what that.
Yeah, it was a train wreck.
Right.
Like books upon books upon books stacked, and you couldn't walk in there.
Right.
So I was scared I was going to find a rat under the desk.
A body.
It was seriously, could have been.
Right, so I remember, Ryan's 6'4" and wears Birkenstocks. And Eric is your total metrosexual, suit and tie, all perfect. John looked like a hobbit.
Yes.
Just a mess.
Hair everywhere.
Right. And then you walk in and I'm like, oof. Dude, we got a member of Social D now. You're straight up, you do not look like a sports information guy.
I think what I was wearing back then was tank tops with a dress shirt and my spiky hair. I had spiky hair back then, yeah.
And
I had kind of a rockabilly thing going.
Right.
Yeah.
Your jeans and Doc Martens.
Yeah,
but you did not look like a sports information guy.
No.
They were all... wearing school colors, matching shoes, Nikes, Adidas. They look like they fell off the merchandise truck of the school.
Yeah.
That was it. And then there's Phil. And I'm just like, well, this is interesting.
What's this guy?
Because this is not like any other sports information person I have ever met.
I didn't study for it. I didn't train for it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It took me,
Well, I remember asking...
I hit the ground running.
Yeah, because I remember asking Sue, Sue, what do we got here? And she's like, you're going to love him. He is so funny. I'm just like,
funny's good.
Funny work, Sue. I mean, how funny? He goes, he is funny. And I'm like, okay, great. Because really at that level, I just provide you photos. If you screw them up, you screw them up. You just have to deal with the coaches.
Right.
Gene, all the rest of them. They're whatever. You got to deal with them.
And their personalities.
Oh, God, yes.
And it's a lot of personalities to deal with. And it could be pretty demanding on that end. And you got to be able to stand up for yourself.
We had Deb, Lisa, Gene, Dieter,
as a matter of fact,
baseball. I'm blanking on
baseball. Nick Fiscardo.
Nick. Oh, good Lord.
I told Dieter to get out. He wasn't allowed in my office. Right. He pissed me off so bad because it was rude, and I wasn't used to being talked to like that.
Right.
I came from a totally different realm.
Right.
And you come into my office talking to me like that, because he came in demanding stats, demanding certain things, demanding the web, demanding stories. dude, I'm just trying to get the website back up.
And I think a lot of that is they lost that year with John.
They did.
Getting
and
nothing.
That frustration.
Right.
I walked into it.
Right.
And so I had to clean that up, which I have. But
night and day.
Yeah. So that was a lot of frustration I didn't know I was walking into. And so.
What were you expecting? Like that first year? Like.
I thought it was taking some pictures, learning a few stats, and then writing about it.
Go to a couple of games.
Yeah, just writing about it. No, I knew it was going to be demanding from a time aspect, and that was cool with that. And I still am. So, long story short, I righted the ship. I got the website back up. I mended the relationship between the sports information office and the coaches because they were pretty on fire. They wanted things and they needed them now. And that's how the job is. And you got to be ready to move.
And today's now is totally different than 2005.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't social media. You weren't tweeting. You weren't.
No.
The website, get it up. But now it's like, oh my God, the demands are just all the time.
Once I got the website up, we actually had to have a major faculty meeting to discuss the website.
Right.
And I had to do a dog and pony show just for the website. I mean, to me, that's so archaic because it's a given now. It's plug and play, go. Now I just design the website the way I want it. I don't even discuss it with anybody. It's just a done deal.
Right.
Back then, it was like, it was a thing. It was like the biggest thing.
Do the colors match?
Right.
Where's the logo go? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole.
I don't understand. How do I find my drop-down page to baseball? I mean, I remember Nick asking that, and I was like, well, it's simple, Nick, but I have to remember Nick is a different generation than we are. So I had to show him, and so that all worked out pretty well.
I mean, Gene on the internet.
Gene wasn't on the internet,
right?
He just wanted to know he had it,
right?
And he was great that way. Gene was so special to work with,
right? But Dieter's our age, so he was all about it. And I think he had won the title then.
No, that was the year.
Okay, so
he was undefeated. So. The first time we had met, the team was 13-0. They didn't have a website yet. It's my third day on the job. He calls me in his office and goes, I need this, and this. And I'm all, well, you need to get a website first, and I'm working on that right now.
Right.
And as soon as I do, I'm going to do a feature on you. We'll do all this. And I laid out my plan for his program. The team went on to win a championship, undefeated, one of the greatest teams, and that team will go.
That team by far is one of the best teams I've ever seen.
And that team's going to go in our Hall of Fame pretty soon. It's one of the greatest teams.
That team's defense was like something I've never seen before.
Remarkable.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody from 1 to 12 or 15, whatever sat on that bench, was about defense.
Like Corey McIntosh. I mean, he was just amazing. I mean, he was like Gary the Glove Payton.
I mean, there were some games where teams didn't score 35 points.
Right.
I mean, lock it down.
Special team.
Right.
Yeah. And it was fun to follow that. And that helped me having a team going in my first year. I mean, actually my first week with a team of that caliber, it motivated me to get good real quick. And if I did slip up, Dieter let me know, but I needed to know. So it helped me grow, and it helped me be better at my job and learn.
Do you think being 13-0 was better than for you to learn than to be 0-13?
Yeah, absolutely. Because then you see a championship team versus a team that loses all the time is run completely different. And there's different expectations. Coaches that are winning want everything out now. Coaches that are losing, it's like pulling teeth to get information on the team.
Right.
It's like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
So you want, it was a good thing for me to go in that way, to go in with a team of that caliber, one of the greatest teams to ever play at Fullerton College. I
think one of the best community college teams.
Yes, absolutely. And it taught me real quick. I had to move real quick. And hit a certain caliber really quick. And I still had a lot to learn in that job because nobody could tell me what my job duties were.
Right. They didn't know.
Mm-mm. So
there's so many ADs in the country that really don't know what the sports information does until they're not doing it.
You're right. Right. I totally agree. Having other SIDs help me along the way helped me grow as well. So
who helped you?
The SID at Santa Ana
at the time was
Dean. Forget his last name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Great guy. I'm forgetting his name. I'm getting old. That is pathetic.
Right.
I think he still works in the district over there.
But he's not the SID, but I know you're talking about because Tony took over. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I would also talk with the SID at Orange Coast, Tony Altabelli. Amazing guy. And we kind of came in at the same time, but he had already had a background as a beat writer.
Okay.
And so he kind of knew what was up with it, and he's super sharp. And then we just kind of bounced ideas off each other. Also, another one that helped me along was the Pasadena City College SID, Robert Lewis. He'd been there for years.
Okay.
Very helpful. Jerry Hanula at Saddleback. Very helpful. Yeah. So
Well, that's nice that they helped you along instead of throwing you under the bus and go figure it out, kid.
And I discovered just from being there as long as I have now that that's just what we do as SIDs. Sports information directors always help each other out.
Bail each other out because there's a time someone's going to not be able to make it, or a computer's going to crash, or
for sure. So it's that job aspect, having that sense of community, really helped me grow as a person, honestly, and grow in my own work, and it's been great. And after Sue retired, she came to me and she saw me. She came to one of the women's basketball games to check it out, and I was working, and she came over to me and she says, "So, aren't you leaving?" And I laughed. I said, "Well, no, I love the job. I fell in love with the job. And that's why I've been there for, this is my 15th year."
Right.
I absolutely love the job. I love working with all the people. I love the personalities. I love everything about it. It's a great sense of community working with these folks, because guess what we do, Art? We help promote kids that are sometimes second chance kids that need help.
Oh, yeah.
Kids that are coming from areas that you and I couldn't even imagine, or in homes. And it's hard to make it in this world. And some of these guys have it a lot harder than what we do. And my job, the best part of my job, is watching them grow as people and watching them succeed and move on to the next level. Those are my favorite stories to write. So-and-so is going to this college. It is the best part of my job, because I love seeing other people succeed. I love it, especially people that didn't have the advantages.
Right.
It's my favorite part.
So during this time, we become friends.
Yes.
And this little crack of light you tell me about this, so I was doing a documentary. So I had done a documentary on a basketball player at CSUN, and you were so kind and came up and helped me shoot like the last piece.
Yes.
But then you were telling me about this coach.
So there was Coach Ted Jablowski.
Yes.
And
and I thought, oh dear Lord, this sounds like the greatest thing ever.
It's the coach that coaches every sport that's not a true sport. So he'll coach.
No, but hold on.
Frisbee golf.
Where's the origin of him? Because you told me about a video, but then there had been a talk about a movie.
Okay, so Coach Ted came about in 2002 while we were in the middle of doing Guy in Row 5.
Okay.
It was pre-production for Guy in Row 5. So the group that we were shooting, so the camera person, the people on set, it was our test run to see if we could all work together for Guy in Row 5, because it was a ragtag group of folks that we met in and out of Hollywood throughout the years.
Okay.
So, by the way, a great group of workers, fantastic filmmakers. So we wanted to make sure our personalities meshed well. And so I had this weird dream. So Bobby and I were working together. On some like infomercial stuff. And he felt like he's more of an actor. And he felt like his role in life was being taken away, and I had something to do with it. Meaning he was working too much on the wrong side of the camera. He wanted to be in front of the camera more than behind it.
Okay.
So he told me about this dream he was having that we were coming back, we were hanging out, and I just kept picking him up and throwing him around the room, and I was all and laughing and picking him up and throwing him, and I was like, what? Why would you have such a dream? Yeah. And I kind of psychoanalyzed it and was like, dude, I know why. I'm all, you think I'm taking you somewhere you don't want to go. I know you want to be in front of the camera. We will get there. But I'm all, right now, we're just doing this. So that's okay. We're making money doing this. You're behind the camera right now, but you'll get in front of it. Yeah. And I'm all, that's funny you had that dream, dude, because I totally know what it's about. Then I had a dream. And I dreamt of throwing Bobby. I had this dream where it was, and I don't think it's politically correct.
Oh,
but
nothing is anymore. I mean, you can't, between what everybody's getting hammered for in the last.
The reason why I picked this sport, because it is disgusting. It is a disgusting sport. And at that time, it was in the papers, little people tossing or midget tossing.
Right.
And at that time, it was in the papers and being attacked. And I find it disgusting and I find it dehumanizing.
Sure.
So I wrote a satire piece about that sport, starring Coach Ted as the coach, and then Bobby being the tossee, playing a little person. Well, and at that time, nobody was using the NFL 1960s theme music in anything. Right. And I really always had a big hankering for that music with the horns and the horns. It was a cold, hard day at the tundra. Like all that. I always loved those.
Oh, yeah.
Iconic, right? Now they're overused and overplayed. Like everybody's using it you could have it for a stupid Wiener Schnitzer commercial.
Oh, my God.
So at that time, I was like, man, that's going to be our backdrop. It's going to be this really stupid and asinine sport with an asinine coach and an asinine, egotistical, the greatest tossee ever, Bobby. So we do this short skit, and it's a hit in the fact that...
And you just bang this thing out on a whim.
We shot it in a day. And
right.
And it's basically a movie trailer. It's set. The backdrop is the
whole thing is a trailer.
It's a trailer, and it's making fun of all the Rudy, all these great sports movies in that kind of style and flavor. In the meantime, this asinine sport is at the center of it. So we make the movie. It's a sound design company went, hey, we love this movie so much, we want to do the sound for it. So they did all this special effects, sound effects, like they were doing a feature film. Major studio.
Wow.
Okay. Yes. Crazy. This major Hollywood studio did the backdrop for all the sounds, all the dubbing and everything. So that was 3 days of that. We had a pretty kick-ass little short film. We put it in some film festivals. It won a few awards. And in the meantime, I'm writing Coach Ted. And in Coach Ted, the feature film was not about the stupid sport.
No, it was more about Ted.
It was more about Ted coaching other stupid sports like Frisbee golf, a bunch of other non-sports, but ultimately...
But to Ted, they were absolutely
Yes.
Olympic quality sports.
Yes, and so how that even came about was after throwing Bobby was done, I had some friends that loved Coach Ted so much that when Christmas time came around, I made I shot a series of photos with Coach Ted in various sexy but yet disgusting poses. Like one of them is there's this giraffe bush. You know how those
Yep.
animal form bushes?
Yeah.
And Coach Ted is wearing the bright red shorts, the 80s high shorts with the belt, the bike shorts, high black socks,
black shoes,
a 10-year-old, like it's a shirt that would fit a 10-year-old, a polo shirt, iconic.
Blue blockers, right?
Yeah, they look like Sylvester Stallone in Cobra glasses.
Yes.
Toothpick, bad hat, wears it like a trucker. So he's just this horrible-looking coach, the worst coach you'd ever want to have from 1988. So he's riding this giraffe, and and then there's one where he's laying on a bed sexily with a kitty cat. They're just a bunch. It was a collage of disgusting Coach Ted pictures that I put together in a frame, all as one picture in a frame, and signed it and gave it out as Christmas presents. Well, they were hits.
Damn right they should be.
Amongst the Hollywood people, it was a big deal, right? Yeah. And then one of my friends created a MySpace page. Remember MySpace?
Yes. It was huge.
MySpace. Oh, my God.
It's still around.
I feel old, though, saying it.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
So, but MySpace at that time was new. And my friend created it. He liked Coach Ted so much, he created a profile and on MySpace, and it had I don't know, like almost like 10,000 followers. It was a big deal. Like, he was really popular. And I found myself, he gave me control of the page because people were writing Coach Ted asking advice. So I became like a Dear Abby for like 3 months. Like, Coach Ted, how do I eat oatmeal? And then I'd write something like, first of all, thank you so much for writing me, and you're purely full of macho. Eating oatmeal can be difficult. Oatmeal is a slippery substance that will come off your spoon. Like, and I would just write a whole thing about it.
Right.
And make sure it doesn't get stuck in your mustache. It can stain. You'll have to do a whole dye job, I know from experience. So, like,
because Coach Ted had a mustache.
Coach Ted had a big, thick, black mustache. It's disgusting.
I just remember you showing me this, showing me this, and I just said, "Dear Lord, I must be a part of this. We must revolutionize, push this forward. We must." I know Coach Ted.
So Coach Ted was dead for a while.
Yes.
Right?
Well, he went away.
Like, for 5 years.
Right.
And then you got on the Coach Tedness and were like, dude, got to bring it back.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know, man.
I think it was around 09, 010.
Yeah, like, I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm respected in the community.
I am not. Well, sort of. Yeah. But
yeah, it was
you were like, let's go. We'll do a photo shoot. We'll do a thing.
We'll do a thing. We will do something. Mm-hmm. And this is again, social media is new, but there's not Instagram. YouTube was still full of crap.
Yeah.
No Twitter. And I was just like, let's do something. Anything.
Yes.
And I threw you into that outfit, and we just started doing photo shoots.
It was a good time, actually.
Oh, my God.
It was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Oh,
we
good.
did.
Yeah.
And it got pretty big.
Yes. We did the football ones.
Yes.
With the pads and everything. We did then we started to do some stuff at the house with sleds and little brass, anything we could find.
The motorcycle that didn't run, but we made it look like it did.
Then we started to do videos.
Yeah, the videos.
Then we moved into videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
The videos were a lot of fun.
We just started like, Ralph Lauren video, we'll make a Coach Ted.
Yes.
A Ralph Lauren or a Christian Dior video, Coach Ted's going to swim.
Yes. Coach Ted is going to be a sexy swimmer.
Yeah.
How do you make Coach Ted sexy? You don't.
He did jazzercise. He played Xbox, Call of Duty. We had him
do everything. We had stickers made, and they were plastered all over everywhere.
They're all over the country.
And they were
To this day, Mike Greenlee asks when I'm going to post the Coach Ted pumpkin making Halloween video because he loves that one. Loves it.
It's on Vimeo.
Right.
Yeah, it's on Vimeo. Coach Ted Chablowski.
We did the NFL draft.
Yeah, we did. That was a good one. That was fun.
We did the locker room peekaboo. Mm-hmm. Singing in the stall.
Yep, singing in the stall.
Yeah. Grant, to this day, Grant was with me the other day, and we still talked about it because he was the sound guy for that, where you just randomly started singing in the bathroom.
Yes.
It was we abused our children and used them for this stuff.
We did. They were mini Coach Teds for Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
During the Justin Bieber craze, we bought the toothbrush.
Coach Ted loves Justin Bieber.
Remember when he was sick?
Yeah, that was good. Good times.
So if you want to see Coach Ted, definitely look up Phil Thurman on Vimeo, and you will find Coach Ted on there. You will laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's not all of them, but it's most of them.
It's most of them.
Yeah.
Now, we shot a commercial for Shakalaka.
We did. Shakalaka approached us and wanted to do a commercial featuring Coach Ted.
Right.
Turned out pretty damn good. That's on there.
And we almost saved a person that day. Remember someone was drowning?
Yes, yes.
If Coach Ted would have saved that person,
that would have been remarkable.
It would have been just a beautiful moment. Like, it couldn't have been better.
Oh my gosh.
I just remember having the curtain pulled back and showing me that, and I just thought, oh God, this is beautiful.
It was a good time.
This is beautiful.
And then, the whole YouTube thing just kind of knocked me off my feet.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
So you start this, in film, and what's happening today with streaming, YouTube, everybody's got a service. If I would have told you 20 years ago, Disney's going to have its own, HBO, like everybody's just going to do a la carte streaming services, you would have asked, what is this streaming you mean?
Yeah.
The ability now to create content and get it out has
much easier.
So much easier, but does that spark something in you to go, okay, if I write something now or direct something now, the avenues are greater. I don't need you. I can put it on Vimeo.
Yes.
I can put it on YouTube.
Just shooting.
Yeah. Right? Like before the show started, we talked about you're going to shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
You can do that and put it on Instagram, have stories.
I think the only thing holding me back the last couple of years was the time I've been spending on the job at Fullerton. I put so much effort and so much of my heart into that job and then I get home and everything's to my kids.
Right. You got 3 kids running around.
Yeah. And then there's sports. And then my wife needs some love.
Oh, yes. Michelle,
Forget about her. She likes her dinners on Friday night.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. And that's a good thing. I love it.
Well, can you imagine being that Phil Thurman coming out of Chapman today with all this in front of you? How would that be different?
I made a joke. When I was still in film school, and half-hearted joke, like I didn't know if I believed it, that our kids, because mind you, we had some cutting-edge 1 gigabyte softwares we were running to edit, and that was really cutting edge. And I made a joke and said, our kids, now I didn't know anything about phones, but I said, our kids will have access to this for free.
Oh,
and they'll be cutting it on something so easy. But I didn't think it would be on a phone.
Right.
I didn't think it would be on anything else. But, these were $150,000 computers back then.
Right. Now they just need a $300 phone.
Yeah, just a phone and the software comes with it. It's insane. Kids have access to their own avenues, channels. So much so that I have to tell my kids, no, you don't get a YouTube channel right now.
Right.
When you're 16, I might let you. There's just too many weirdos out there. I don't want to expose you to that right now.
I mean, Farrah's 11, right?
Farrah's 11 and TikToked up.
Right. You know how many 11-year-olds have their own channels?
Yes, they do. I just find it a little too much, and maybe I'm old-fashioned that way, but I'm gonna slow that down as much as I can. They're gonna have a lot of exposure to it, and they already do, but I try to tame it because I don't want them to have too much to where it's dangerous.
Sure.
I want them to be able to grow and have their own thoughts, I guess.
But there's no excuse today, if you're a creator, to not be able to find an avenue.
And I'm getting that time back now that my kids are getting older, and when they're babies, there's so much going on. Now that they're getting older, they don't need me as much, and I could find windows of time in between work and my wife and my kids to actually put out short films now. I can't imagine putting together a feature right now because it's 3 years of your life.
Now, where's your avenues on that? Are you going to just do Vimeo, or are you going to do something on Instagram?
I'm strictly going to stick with Vimeo. I'm thinking about Instagram to help promote it to get to Vimeo. But at this point, I think I'm just making it for me.
Sure, and that's okay.
I'm not out there to...
You're not making a buck.
I'm working on something like small and weird right now about the grandiose and spectacular pompadour and how it's grown throughout the years and its stages. So I'm working on a pompadour short film right now. And it's just for me because I think pompadours are funny.
Right.
I think they're the greatest thing. I love seeing a good pompadour. I'll stare at it all day. It's magical. So I'm making a goddamn short about pompadours right now. And I don't know if it's going to be 3 minutes or 10. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I'm putting it together. I've got it formulated. I showed Logan, my 14-year-old, a snippet of it yesterday, and he was crying laughing. And I was like, okay, 14-year-old digs it? Okay, good. Not stupid dad joke.
Right.
Dad, you're dumb. Dad, you're dumb.
Stop,
Yeah,
Dad.
stop, Dad. You're embarrassing me all the time. So, and I'm making that for me. And if somebody else wants to watch it, have fun, enjoy it. And then eventually, as my kids even get more older, I'll make a feature. I will make another feature film. That's a guarantee. I don't think it's going to be 4th and 44.
Right.
I think it'll be something else, maybe Starting Gate, which we're working on together right now. So who knows? Yeah.
Do you, older Phil, find more things to write about because you're mature than you were when you were 20? Can you sit back and go, okay.
That's another good question.
Right. Like, okay, I've got some layer now to me.
So during the COVID, that sweet COVID has allowed us all some free time, hasn't it? So, yeah, technically I'm still working from home, but I still get a little window of time to like, what do we got here? Some scripts I wrote in 1998. So I did go through some scripts that nobody's ever written. I wrote one called Rumble about the early 1960s, about gangs in and out of LA in the 60s. And I went back and I read the script and I was like, oh my God, the idea and the premise was good, but my dialogue was very immature. I cringe. I'm going to probably restructure that and rewrite it again now that I have a different perspective and I'm I have more life experience. So I did go through a few of my scripts and I went, oh yeah. That's rough. That needs a little love and a little bit more creative, thrown at it.
Sure, that comes with maturity.
Yeah, and then there's a couple shorts I've written, and I was like, toss. But you got to look at those as exercises. That's how you grow. I mean, it's just an exercise. Some of the scripts are just exercises.
Right.
Some of them are meant to be made. Some of them are just exercises just to be written.
What lights your fire creatively? Do you watch a show? Is there music? What all of a sudden brings ideas to you?
It's not shows or inspiration. It's just things that I think are funny. Things that I think, I'm not trying to, sometimes there's like an ideology behind it that I'm trying to get through, and I'm not too political. I just want to show another perspective. Okay. Maybe a little glimpse of what I'm thinking, and I'm not trying to preach. It's just like, hey, check this out. Isn't that funny?
Okay, so you're like the pompadour.
Yeah.
Do you have music already in your head? Like what's going to play with this?
Yes, I'm going to record that music next week.
Do you think of a color palette or a theme or a pace?
It's more like for this piece, it's more of each pompadour I'm editing in Photoshop. There are a bunch of photos that I have. It's like over 300 photos, and I'm editing them in Photoshop to where they match each other, so they morph into each other. So it's like one blobbish morph of hair, and with the song, which I don't want to give away yet.
That's okay.
The lyrics of the song enhance the visual.
Now,
it's not a story A, B, and C.
Right.
It's more of an art piece visual.
Now, do you ever sit there and go, okay, now from that, could I do a 3 or 4 minute small documentary on a man who has a pompadour?
Yes. I've thought of that, but then how much time do I have?
Right.
Because you shoot a 3-4 minute
documentary,
that could be 20 hours of footage.
Right.
You know, you got to shoot the hell out of it.
That's what I'm asking. How far do you like to go on a project? Do you like with this Pompadour? Is that it? When you're done, you're done?
Here's what I'm doing right now. I'm sticking my toe in the water and doing little projects because I've the fear that once I start on a big project, I won't let go until I finish that project. So I know a little project I can do and it won't hurt. Not hurt. It won't affect.
Interfere your whole family structure and time.
Yes. If I jump into a feature film right now, I'm not giving up on it. I'm going to bite into it and I'm going to grind on it.
Right. And and
I don't want to do that because I don't want to miss my kids' games. I don't want to miss that stuff. So I probably won't shoot a feature for a few years, but I'm going to shoot a bunch of shorts.
Right.
And I'm going to stay active. Yeah.
Are you going to do that with the tools you have, like a phone or your camera? Because technology is unbelievably changing. I mean, you were in film school.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm using my phone now for the shorts.
4K. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, you could do, and you wouldn't even know it's a phone unless someone tells you.
Right.
So the technology is insane right now. What you can use, you could use any format.
Right.
Any format. I like to take. I used to do this. I used to take do you remember like the Fisher-Price Pixel cameras? It was a Pixel Vision that in 1987, Fisher-Price came out with a camera for kids. Everybody wants to be Spielberg.
Right.
Right? So they came up with this camera, and it's the crappiest pixels ever. But I like to take stuff like that as a medium and make that into a piece. So I had like 3 Pixel Vision cameras at one time with a video feed. Yeah, so I mean, I
bet that was frightening for a grown man running around with kids' toys.
Yeah, I mean, probably. It probably looked weird, but I like to shoot experimental things with it because it looked cool. Then you can play with it, and I like playing with a lot of Super 8, and I still love 16 millimeter. I just like the grain and the crackle of the film, the camera pops. You know, when the film's overexposed, I just love that look.
So with video and digital, and it's just unbelievable. Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. There's filters I used to create it in camera with the film.
Right.
And now there's a filter for it. I'm just like, cool, saves me time.
But do you like that grittier look, period? Or is it just depending on?
It depends on the project. It depends on the medium. It depends on what the project calls for. If it's something you want to be like Degenerate, is a gangster film that I wanted to be gritty, dirty, and gross. With a lot of gunplay and violence. So I shot that purposely 16 millimeter because I wanted that film grain. I wanted it to look dirty because the movie's dirty. Now I could have shot that 35 and kept it clean, but then I wouldn't have that dirty edge to it.
Right. Have you seen Public Enemy Johnny Depp, Michael Mann's film? He's doing Dillinger.
Yes, a long time ago.
He did that in digital, and I watched it the other night. Will wanted to watch it.
It's too clean.
Yeah, it's like it took away. It didn't feel right.
You have to have you got to go with what the story calls for. That's the feeling you're trying to give off.
It's 1930s, and I kept feeling that everything was just clean.
Yeah, the 30s weren't clean.
No, Depression. It's
the Dust Bowl, and And
I'm watching it, just going. Everybody looks like they all have had showers, and this camera's perfect.
Nope, people were sweaty, oily. You know what I mean? Right. It was a hard time.
Depp was never sweaty.
Yeah. I mean, the humidity, they're in
Chicago.
Yeah, the humidity, come on.
In wool suits.
Yeah, you take a shower and you're sweating in 2 seconds walking out. Yeah, you got to have that look. I'm a big proponent of that. So you got to go with what it is. Not everything has to be pretty and clean all the time unless it calls for it. Like if I'm shooting a flower, blooming, it's got to be pretty unless it's the ugliest flower in the world, and I want it to look like a gangster flower. And I could do it.
I know you could.
Put a cigar in its, what are those, leaf pallets?
Leave me with this, okay? We're going to end with this.
Yes.
Where did Coach Ted get his voice?
To be honest, it was something I picked up at Improv Olympic when I was studying there in 2003. So I never really stopped going to class and studying and working on like improv and comedy.
Good.
So at that time I was at Improv Olympic, and IO is really good about teaching you, or honing a craft on a character. And I kept bringing that voice to class. And finally, like, I sat down after doing a piece, and 2 girls that were in my class, young ladies, were like, "Man, do you always have to do that voice?" And I was like, "I do a voice?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's your funny voice." And I'm like, "Ooh, thanks for pointing that out." And then I took it and I gave it to Ted.
Okay.
And now that's Ted's voice. So I don't have to do it anymore. And then one of the young ladies said, "Your next scene, make it serious and use your real voice." And I did, and I nailed the scene, did really well, and I came back and sat down, and they're like, "That was awesome." They really liked it.
Okay.
And what I'm getting at is, I had to apply that voice to something, or else I'd use it all the time.
Right.
And so I do apply that voice to Ted. And so I gave it to him because at that time we were getting ready. We were doing Coach Bobby and all that stuff. Well, 2002, 2003, yeah.
Because there's a Woody Allen movie, Zellick. It's where his character becomes the people around him. Mm-hmm. And when we're doing Ted, I end up coming home sounding like Ted for a couple of hours.
Yes.
Because he's so intoxicating to be around.
He's catchy.
He's very catchy. I love Ted.
And there's something about, like, the grumpy coach, because we had that grumpy coach.
We've all had that guy.
And Ted is a throwback coach from when we were kids in the 70s that came from Vietnam, were pissy.
Right.
And God damn it.
Right.
You know, those guys.
Life didn't go just the way it was planned.
No, you son of a bitch.
Right.
Like, there's lots of those, and a cigarette hanging out of the mouth, and you know what I mean?
You have no idea, kids.
Yeah. You have no idea.
I drink napalm in the morning.
That's what they did.
Right.
Every day.
Right. I get it all.
Coffee.
Right.
No, but that's kind of where Coach is a gruff. But the thing with Ted is, he's not that cool. He's trying to be cool.
No.
I don't think it's
Ted
a persona
realizes,
within a persona.
Right. Ted doesn't realize he's not cool.
Yeah. No, he is the bee's knees.
Right.
But he's actually an outcast.
He's
an outcast.
Right.
Trying to fit in. So that's what the movie was about in Coach Ted. Him fitting in, him realizing he's an outcast. At the beginning of the movie, he's like, "I'm the shit," but he's a total outcast and a black sheep and doesn't fit in. And then by his breaking point is he realizes that he's not what he thought he was. And we all have gone through that. We're not who we think we are sometimes, and we get a little a reality check, and then he figures out his own path. And yeah.
Well, definitely check out Phil Thurman on Vimeo so you can find Coach Ted. And so you're going to post the Pompadour on
Pompadour
Vimeo?
will be on everything I post now is on Vimeo.
Okay.
Under Phil Thurman Phil Thurman. I was trying to remember if it was Odessa Films USA, but it's under my name.
Yep. Will you sneak peek it on your Instagram, or should they follow you there?
No, I don't have anything on Instagram. It's all like kids crap.
I know. It's
you know what I mean?
Stuff.
It's like, yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's going to be me shooting my kid eating a turd sandwich.
Right, in the pool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So no. Just on Vimeo. I'll keep it on Vimeo.
Check him out on Vimeo. Phil, thank you so much. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, time for lunch.
Yes.
Let's do it. Hope you enjoyed that podcast. Please hit the like button where you found us. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We also have a website, justagoodconversation.com, where you can leave questions and comments.